What's good, boys?
Robin, welcome in, everyone.
Robin said you were going to do it, Jerry.
I was going to do the background. I'm going to do the front round too.
Of course.
Yes, I am.
Here we are.
Welcome in, everybody.
You got to have the catchphrase, though. You got to have the proper intro.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. How are you guys doing?
I can't do impressions, man. Well, at least there's nothing to talk about. We got nothing to talk about, right?
True.
Nothing at all. There he is.
Hello.
What's up, Forrest?
Boris, how are you?
What's up,
sir?
everybody? It's good to see you guys.
Yeah.
Crazy timeline, man.
I heard there's nothing to talk about, Jerry. You were just saying there's nothing in Bitcoin that's interesting anymore.
Holy shit,
Nothing.
man.
Snooze fest.
I think there may be a new derangement syndrome, but we might get into that later. But and by the way, for the audience, I did run BIP-110 for about maybe 9 blocks, and then once I saw it, I was like, that was it for me. But
Yeah, it might actually, we should do that right now because, there's a lot of people who are kind of interested in this conversation right now. And I think it would actually be a useful exercise for us to kind of go around the horn here and maybe just, state our stance and what we've been doing and kind of what we're thinking about. It doesn't have to be like a 5-minute thing, but just kind of give a little bit of background of like, who's funding you.
Big Bitcoin.
Yeah, Forrest.
It's all big Bitcoin, baby.
I saw Forrest got a free hardware device from Jade yesterday, so he's cooked.
I'm bought and sold. Yeah,
Totally
that's
cooked.
it.
Oh, did you guys see that video of that guy roasting you and Jor, the blonde head kid?
No.
Oh man, yeah, he's mad.
Big
Where's
mad.
this on?
He's just a little channel. Matthew Cratter actually highlighted him. That's how I found him. And I
Is it Matthew
subscribed to him.
Cutter's kid?
I thought you were talking about Matthew Cratter.
And he's just he's a pleb. He ran BIP-110 and he's not happy right now.
I think
Well, you'll have to share you'll have to share it after. So I'll maybe begin myself because I've been under some scrutiny today and the last couple of days here and even beyond that. But I'm actually still running Bitcoin Knots. I thought Knots was a great idea. Thought we needed more decentralization in terms of the implementations. I liked how it had more functionality. And, it just didn't really make sense to me. And myself, and most people on the stage here would agree and would are aligned with, is I don't have any sponsors. I don't have nobody's paying me. I have zero sponsors. I have zero influence, and everything that I put on my channel and talk about on this stream is just my own opinion, my own voice. And so it's that's kind of where I'm at, but I'm just fed up with the lies that are being told. I kind of went under this whole thing as if the intentions were good, intentions were pure. I kind of gave them the benefit of the doubt, but it seems like after watching it happen and the fallout of that, it seems like there might be some misaligned, intentions or some, maybe some nefarious things. I'm not going to speculate on that, but it definitely seems like an attack on not only Bitcoin network, but mostly Bitcoiners' minds right now. It seems like they're doing their best to continue the lie. So that's kind of my stance on it right now.
I think there's a contingent of, at the top there with BIP-110 and the hard fork that's ensuing that I don't think they think of it that way, Jor. I think they really do think that they are doing what's best and that Bitcoin is being attacked. And I think that actually a lot of it is that they don't really care what other people think. Like I listened to a competing watch party from last Saturday with I think Giacomo and Tone Vase and a bunch of them did a watch party, and they were talking about how they know Luke more personally, some of them, and they said Luke Dasher is a sort of a contrarian type thinker who doesn't give into peer pressure. He doesn't care what other people think, and I think that that's really true. Actually, I mean, his skin might not be totally thick. I think he's might have the most blocked accounts under his block list, maybe, but he also from my public interactions with him and seeing him talk publicly, he seems to really just have his own opinion and really stick with it. But that doesn't mean that he's looking out for the best interest of other people, right? With what he's doing. And I think that a lot of people are just kind of they think he's some sort of savior, that he's saved. Maybe he did, or maybe, I don't know, whatever. But he's been good for Bitcoin or not, or whatever. People have different opinions about him, but they're just kind of following along, and he's just creating. He's creating an altcoin right now, a hard forked altcoin of Bitcoin off its UTXO set, and I don't think he cares what is in the best interest of other people. He's doing what he believes in is best for himself and for Bitcoin, and people can follow or not, which I think is an interesting thing. So, I mean, that's where my perspective is with that. And then, to further answer your question, same as you, I don't have any sponsors on YouTube. I think I did 2 sponsored videos early on for Orange Pill app and 4 for the Bitcoin Way, and it just felt slightly disingenuous, even though I do believe that those are fairly decent products. And then I have affiliate links, but the affiliate programs allow you to say what you want. You either get people to use them or not based on how positive you talk about something. I do have an affiliate link for the Jade, and I always talk about how bad of a form factor the Blockstream Jade is and how finicky it is, and I've sold like 3 of them. So, okay, whatever. I can say shit about it if I want. People can use my link or not. It doesn't really matter to me. And that's what is nice about an affiliate versus a sponsorship is if I decide that I don't want to promote that thing anymore, I don't have to. There's no contract, there's no lock-in, there's no obligation. It's a little more freeing with that. But people can make up their mind whether that's just my opinion, the way I think about that. So that's my channel, and then happy to talk about more of the hard fork stuff as we go along too.
And you were a big proponent of Knots.
Yeah, I was a big proponent of Knots, and I think that BIP-110 killed Knots. Actually, I think Luke is the main developer of Knots, and I don't think he's going to develop it for Bitcoin anymore. It's open source code, so somebody could fork it, but somebody has to maintain it. And it's actually a lot of work what he did to maintain it. And he's going to upgrade Knots to support the altcoin that he now has. And I think they even picked a hashing algorithm recently, Blake to be or not to be. That is the question. I believe that's the algorithm that he's hashing now. But so that's dead in the water, in my opinion. There's a few other implementations. I think different implementations that are consensus valid is a good idea to have. I don't think that we should. I think without that, we do become more dependent on one team of developers, which is, I don't know. We need to see other implementations.
Guys, we're spinning. We're lagging right now, real bad.
Oh boy, it's probably me. Hold on.
What the hell?
Sorry, Robin. Go ahead.
I think this whole thing was really interesting for me because I got really late into this whole game of core versus Knots, and I ignored for a very long time a lot of the comments I got of like, do you run Knots? People were DMing me about like my stance on Knots versus core. And I just like, I don't think it's that interesting of a topic. Why do you care? Why do you guys all of a sudden care about which implementation you run? You don't even care about running a node in general. And so I put it off for a very long time. But in general, I like the idea of more configurable clients. I like the idea of more clients in general. I think there are real problems with core. So I think in general, Bitcoin Knots was a great idea with the emphasis on was and not is. I think BIP-110, the most positive thing I can say about BIP-110 is that it was an interesting idea with good intentions. I was never a proponent of BIP-110 in general, but one thing is very certain: launching a shitcoin is a horrible idea. There's no second opinion on my side on that. And I was fence sitting before Saturday on this whole like, where do I stand really with like BIP-110 and so, like, because I didn't care that much on like either side. I was like, it will be fine. But as soon as I saw the Discord channel of Luke of Bitcoin Knots and the way they talk in there, the way they interact in there, and all of those things, I was very clear on. They're trying to launch a shitcoin, and I'm going out with all my power to be like that's a shitcoin. That's not the new Bitcoin. That's the same vibe that I heard with Bitcoin Cash and all the other forks and shitcoins. So I don't think it's a good idea to launch a shitcoin just because your soft fork failed. I think that's not a good practice. And also BIP-110 proved that it doesn't have consensus. They have this weird logic of, 80% is not updating either to Bitcoin Core V30 or other. And because that is the case, they are now signaling for BIP-110. And not, because of that, they have consensus, which is such a weird idea in my view. So they don't have consensus neither on the node side or on the mining side or on the exchange side or from big Bitcoin Knot. So like they don't have a consensus from any perspective you can look at. And so I don't know. I think it's a very clear subject now. It's I posted it today. I was running knots. I like knots, but I'm back to 100% core because I think they shot themselves in the foot.
Robin, so I want to ask you said you're very against the hard fork. I'm not in support of the hard fork, but a hard fork is something you can just ignore, right? It's just this other thing. It's just happening on its own network. You can just literally completely ignore it. I mean, of course, it's going to affect the plebs that fall for it and the Bitcoiners that fall for it and sell their Bitcoin. I mean, but that's all just individual choice and stuff. So yeah, I'm curious, what is your real problem with a hard fork happening? Like, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
I think the thing that you mentioned is already the thing that is bothering me a little bit, because you have to imagine there's a guy or a girl or like whoever who really is at heart a Bitcoin, and I think that might be the point.
Gotcha. And so it sounds like it's the same problem that we all likely have with just crypto in general. So
yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. I agree with all that.
Yeah, it's I'm in the minority here, but I did run BIP-110, and the main reason, probably 80% of the reason I did, was because of Matthew Crater, to be honest with you, and I'm just being forthright about it. He taught me more about Bitcoin than anybody. I used to watch his show, Trader University, before he was on Bitcoin, and what's funny is I didn't listen to it, and once he started talking about Bitcoin, I just turned it off, and I was like, why does this guy keep talking about this crypto bullshit? And I left for about a year and a half, and I came back. I was like, wow, I'm looking at this Bitcoin thing. I said, wait a minute, that guy Matthew Crater, and I went back, and he was doing his thing. But once we got into the blowing up the Opportune and the BIP-110, and he started going crazy about it, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of fell back from him a little bit. But then when I started doing some research on it, I understood, and I was like, okay, I understand why the people are doing it, right? Oh man, the Opportune is blowing up. They're gonna spam, Bitcoin is money, and I get it, right? But then I watched Forrest's video, because I come from a place where I try to be as pragmatic as not living in a bubble, and try to zoom out as much as I can and just try to get the information. And Forrest made good points in his video. And Jor's a good friend of mine, and Jor, he's like a future teller. He basically said the reason he's upset, or not upset, he's worried about this because we're going to lose a lot of good Bitcoiners on our side. And that's what's kind of happening right now. Hasn't happened yet. To me, it hasn't happened till they sell their Bitcoin, in my personal opinion. It's all noise to me, because, again, if you still got your money, because, again, I showed the price for a reason. We're still in the low to mid 60s. Nothing changed. If it dropped down to 55 and all these people went over to that coin and it went up to whatever, then yeah. But from a pragmatic standpoint and a principled, and a kind of like, and Brandon, you can about this, kind of like a purist standpoint, I was like, all right, I can see why. Now, did I think we were going to hard fork? No, because Matthew Crater said we're not, and it's going to be a soft fork. And, this is a guy I listened to for years, right? But I got to be honest, man. And again, I still like Matthew Crater, but it doesn't matter how smart you are, because there are a lot of smart people, and I'm going to go over to the political thing in the Democrat Party. I know a lot of smart people that have been brainwashed by the Democrat Party. And I'm not saying people are brainwashed. I'm not saying that.
I am.
But I'm not the guy that went on there, on the show, on my show, and like, saying I'm against BIP-110 or for BIP-110. I just said, hey, I'm running it and I'm gonna try it. But the amount of, I don't want to say delusion, I don't want to say that word, but the amount of just being my team. This is my team, and no matter what you say over there, it doesn't matter. And I'm just like, that's not a good way to look at an argument. Charlie Munger said it best. He said, the best way to argue an argument is know the other side better than your side. Right? And I looked at both. I listened to Forrest, I listened to Jor, I listened to all the big boys. And I have to say, I ran it to try it, and I said, this works. We'll see what happened. It didn't work. Now, of course, when you lose, you're going to say, oh, it didn't work because of this and that. And the same guy I was just talking about, now he's making 2 videos a day, and he's a lot of copium I'm seeing. And I'm not disparaging anybody. The main thing for me, honestly, is short term, short to midterm, not long term. This kind of sets us back a little bit. Because again, the number one thing we want is what? We want adoption, right? And we are in the process. If these guys actually do the hard fork and sell, we're going to lose a lot of good Bitcoiners, man. And for us to be fighting this revolution that we're fighting against, because I'm with the BIP-110 guys. I'm here for ending the Fed and separating money and state and getting rid of the central bankers. I get it. But at the same time, it's a process. And I think where they went wrong from my standpoint, honestly, and, trying to be fair here, I think the you better do this or else mentality was, I wasn't really for that, but some of these videos is, oh, do you want to turn your A6 into a air conditioner or a this? Then you better run BIP-110. If you don't, I'm just like, what? That does. If I was on that side, I'm like, well, fuck you. I'm not doing it. You talking to me like that, I'm not going to do it. So, then they talk about spam. And again, I was a BIP-110er, but they talk about spam, but then they were spamming a lot. And again, I'm in the minority. I was the guy that was running BIP-110. So I'm talking to you from your side, guys, because I know there's some guys in here that are running BIP-110. But you're saying you don't want spam, but then you're spamming all the people that don't either say, hey, I'm BIP-110 or have BIP-110 in their name, or saying, BIP-110 every 5 minutes. Even if they're just being neutral, you're BIP-110 and BIP-110 in the comments, and people, that wears people out, man. You know what I mean? You kind of wore your welcome out. So now you tried it. You plugged in your node. You turned it on. You did your thing, and it failed. And it didn't work. It was like a movie, to be honest with you. When that first block came out with Roughnecks, I'm like, holy shit. But nobody else, it's like, did they power up all their stuff and just say, boom, let's do it. Let's blow our load right here.
I by the way, I contributed to the Ocean block because I have 9 miners running, and I remind them with simple mining, and I use their default node. So I contributed to Ocean killing.
Wow.
BIP-110.
How ironic. So my point is, I don't want to rant on this, but my point is, just like Forrest said, if you want to fork off, and
there's nothing we can do about that, right?
There's nothing you could do. But again, I'm not financial advice. If you want to win the battle, don't go against your brothers, because you're the minority. Just listen to me. You're the minority, and if you fork off, you're just, again, I know what you're going to say. Oh, we got more support than Bitcoin Cash. Oh, we got more support than BSV. But I'm telling you right now, they're going to come up with a name with your coin too. Okay? You guys are in the minority. I know you guys are calling us now, I guess. The Michael Saylor coin and the captured coin and the Fed, whatever you're going to call it. But at the end of the day, you're not helping being the minority going against the big thing. Just get together, sit down, say, hey, I'm sorry to how I talked to you. I accept your apology, how you talk to me. Let's figure something out. Let's work together and let's go towards the middle. Because again, guys, we work together better when we're on the same page. But when you're going way over there and calling people names because they didn't run the BIP-110 is not the way to go. And like the great Rodney King said, can we just all get along?
Well, what was that?
Delusional.
I just wanted. Sorry, I did not want to interrupt. That's why I put it away again. But I just wanted to show this to you guys. I want, because Jerry brought up like he doesn't want to use the word delusional. So I googled it and tried to figure out what does it actually mean. Delusional means holding a firm belief, and try just like think about what it reminds you. Delusional means holding a firm belief that are not true, not real, and not supported by facts or logic. Even when shown clear proof that the idea is wrong, a delusional person refuses to change their mind. And I think, I mean, there's not a better word to describe it. I think they are delusional. If you think that the Luke coin will be successful, or however it will be called, I think you are delusional. So I'll try to put it very plainly.
Yeah, and they're putting more effort to fight against us than they are the system, which is that's not it.
Yeah. I think another thing here, guys, with the hard fork, and I'll just say my prediction with this is a fraction of a fraction of a fraction, right? Knots, then BIP-110, then hard fork. A tiny minority of Bitcoin to Knots to BIP to Bitcoin, whatever it's going to end up be calling. It's a really, really small fraction of people, and it's an even smaller fraction of people that are going to sell their real Bitcoin to actually buy this other coin. I've talked to many, many plebs who are pro BIP-110 over the last few days on Twitter, and they all say, well, I'm just going to buy iBit, or I'm going to hold my Bitcoin because it's NGU and it's totally captured, and Saylor's going to keep pumping the bags, and they have this narrative around that and how it's all centrally controlled, malicious miners, all this, but they still see it going up in value, and yet they still ideologically have just divested from it, and ideologically they now subscribe to the basically, I believe it's a complete psyop that they've basically fallen for at this point. And Jerry, you said you were in there and all that too, and so was I, right? Personal conversations with all these people heavily involved, running Knots, helping people run Knots. Ran BIP-110 early on myself, and then began to question a lot of things, understanding the purpose of op return, the reason core changed, why they didn't change back. All these other things led me down the rabbit hole of understanding that this is actually a non-issue. And the conversation that people were having was completely separate than the actual issue, which is, where does spam go in Bitcoin, and where is it the least harmful? And how do we mitigate the harm that spam does to Bitcoiners until the system of fees can reduce spam to basically nothing? And so, anyway, so it's going to be a tiny, tiny, small fraction of people that are supporting this hard fork, and the financial capital they'll have is next to nothing. So some people will lose money. Some people go all in because they've just dug they're down there with Matt Cratter with a shovel, and he's saying, hey, help me dig this hole that I've dug myself into. And they're down there too, digging too. So a few, but I think a lot of them are just going to hold their Bitcoin because they don't actually really believe in the number go up of the other coin, which is part of the reason that they're involved in Bitcoin as well, right? I think that's, a lot of us talk like price doesn't matter and stuff, but price does matter in a lot of ways. It's a lot of information put into the price. It's a broader sort of metric for adoption in general. And then it's also, well, it means that if people are buying it and holding it, taking it off of exchanges, it's becoming a larger portion of their savings, their investment, and their mind share is going towards that. Their value is going towards that. And that pushes it into the ability to become all the other things that we believe Bitcoin will be: medium of exchange and neutral monetary network for the globe, and so on.
See, this is what I'm talking about right here, man. Can you give us a something better than that?
No, they can't.
Can't be helped.
But sorry, go ahead, Brandon.
No, I mean, you guys all said amazing points. I mean, I've said this numerous times. We've talked about it here in my show. I've talked about it on Bitcast. I mean, there's so many people that were not ultimately for BIP-110, we'll say right at the end, and that were for knots, or they don't want spam on the chain, or they want to use Bitcoin as money. Like, that's vast majority of people. And I think that's where, because there was such nuance to it, the BIP-110, someone said earlier, kind of killed the knots thing. We need more implementations. We need more of that. We need more decentralization throughout all of the stack of Bitcoin, all the layers. And that's what, one of the big bummers out of all this. And so don't let the good be the enemy of great sometimes, right? I mean, that's I don't know. It's just weird, and again, like, we got people crashing out about politics in the chat and the Republic. And, it's just, again, government and schools are going to warp your mind, if you don't, it's Plato, right? If you don't involve yourself in politics, Bitcoin is a human system and humans are political. So no matter where you turn, this is what's really frustrating, is most people think Bitcoin's a substitute for like everything to do with humanity. Like, this is not, unless we're going to like remove ourselves from life and just kill all of us and abort all of ourselves, like the Massachusetts governor just did, and murder your child like as it's coming out or whatever, then okay, then like the earth only has robots and it's only machines, then great, wonderful. Then that's some weird utopian world that we kind of just explained with BIP-110. And what I saw too was a lot of people just not being able to see the forest from the trees and not be able to zoom out, and then getting entrenched, getting emotional. Scott Adams talks about this a lot, right? The 7 tells of cognitive dissonance. And you get into what's a huge one, ad hominem, right? Just attacking people, mudslinging. And you look at word salad, saying a bunch of gobbledygook. It looks really good, but you're not really saying anything. Starting your conversation or starting your rebuttal with so or bro or dude, like all these little things. Like, there's all these things you can go through. And this is what turned me, even with the stuff that's going on the last 6 or 7 months, which I've explained as well. When you have a lot of the left, the progressive woke movement, a lot of the alt right now, the Tucker Carlsons, the Candace Owens, who are very myopic, and the Joe Kents and Marjorie Taylor Greens, who the Thomas Masseys, who have said, hey, well, there's gonna be nuclear war if you go to war, if you do this thing. And then there wasn't. But then, just like this BIP-110 thing, a lot of people have a very hard time updating their mental makeup and then saying, whoa, I thought there was gonna be a nuclear war if this thing happened. And then after 24, 48, 72 hours, nothing happened, and still nothing's happening. At some point you have to stop and say, okay, I got to lower my emotions and raise my intelligence again here. And where did I get things wrong? Where were my predictions wrong? Who was I following? What was actually happening? And there's just the thing that's just constantly happening, whether it's in Bitcoin or it's in politics or in life, and maybe it's family issues. It's just constant raising of emotions, and then intelligence just continually, the IQ points just drain. And so, like, you got to be careful when you're watching one person or getting in an echo chamber, right? We mentioned Jack Cruz, someone did earlier. We mentioned Matt Cratter. These things are great. And I think that the Puritan angle, which I have much in me as well, a lot in me, that also is going to be hard to go to the masses, whether it's politics or whether it's Bitcoin. Most people are never going to agree with 99% of what I have to say and think in life. It's just not going to be the case. I've seen this now. I'm 39 years old, and you kind of look around like, what world am I living in? So you kind of have to understand the average person, the average normie, thinks about things way differently. And this is where we go back to the founding fathers revolution, right? There's many compromises that were made. There used to be just the House, and there wasn't a Senate, like there's big things that had to be, the Federalist versus anti-Federalist. We need some government versus, or it's a little more government versus not so much. And like these fights are going back and forth. James Madison capitulating after the War of 1812 and saying, you know what, we do need a national military because we just got ransacked in 1812 by the British. I mean, there's many such cases of these things happening. And it sucks when you have to live through these things. And I think of just war theory, like all these different things that have been going on. And so, but again, cognitive dissonance is the one thing too, where again, you look at the BIP-110 versus core, or you look at the war that's going on. That's why I mentioned just war theory, because it's stuff that I've been, just kind of revisiting and stuff like that. But also when you go back to the cognitive dissonance of the alt-right, the Tuckers and Candaces, the left, progressive left, or libertarians, who are just kind of like, again, people in the chat, like just disappearing. Like you just forfeited. Like when I'm playing hockey and we have a tournament, and there's 6 games in the weekend, and someone forfeits the game when I was a kid, it's like, oh, great, I don't have to expend any energy. It's a cheap win. The devil loves when you don't play the game. It's easy. And when the good people just walk away into the cornfield and disappear, why would you let it be that easy? And that's the thing. The good people, the 1%, 2%, 3% of people just say, oh, it's a sham. Oh, whatever. Well, the very fact that you gave up and you're just sitting there walking away, that's the reason the system gets worse and then perpetuates, and we're in this doom loop, and the debt spiral, the doom loop, whatever you want to call it. So like the illogical nature of human beings and just copping out and leaving and not being involved, not sitting here and bitching about politics, that does nothing, but power, persuasion, energy, actually getting involved. Are you involved in your local politics? Are you involved in the state, in the provincial elections? Are you actually doing it? Just imagine a couple percent of the good people actually did that, but we don't, because we're Spider-Man memeing and we think someone else is going to do it, and then we piss and moan and we want to bitch and whine. It's easier to be a victim. It's easier to just say, oh, woe is me, whatever, someone else will do it. And that's the younger generation. Unfortunately, they're having this crisis because anyone 40 or 50 younger, it's, oh my gosh, this system's broke, so I want to go take from someone else and redistribute it or whatever it is, instead of just getting active and saying, hey, you know what, there's got to be a better way. We got to figure out something better here. So there's good things and bad things coming out of this, but at the end of the day, I think it's the power, the energy that's going to really take a hold and take effect going forward. And this is where like I was saying earlier, when you have CIA, someone on Judge Valentino's show. Like I said this months ago, like the first month after the Venezuela thing happened, I watched probably 50 to 100 different people. I watched the Young Turks. I was watching CNN and Fox News, Candace, Tucker. I mean, you name it. I was watching Bitcoiners. I was watching all kinds of people from all over the spectrum. Number one, no one really knew what the hell was happening. But number two, there was tons of mind reading. And then as the months played out, you could tell who just continually mind reading. I hate Donald Trump. He's the worst person in the world. I think he's just doing this because of this. He's just doing it because he's evil and blah, blah. This is the cognitive dissonance between in human beings is just running rampant everywhere. And we're just reading, third-party headlines, and it's Twitter headlines from someone else said this, and there's no source material. That's the epidemic at the end of the day. Not only the spiritual battle that we're in and just destruction, and death versus, putting life on a pedestal. We put death on a pedestal, whether it's the MAID program in Canada or abortion here in America or whatever it is. How can you have a just, good society when you're murdering your own children or what have you, right? It's impossible. You can't have good fruit from a bad tree. And so we want to ignore these things. We want to live in the secular world and just say, oh, I can, everything's in a vacuum. But it's not. And as my child is here behind me, I'll finally land my plane, who's trying to distract me for the last 2.5 minutes straight. So, hey, here we are.
You did a pretty good job with that going on in the background.
It might have been about 3 or 4 minutes straight. So have to have a talk here. I might have to go in a second, and we'll talk to a few of them.
Yeah, no, it's just kind of going back to Forrest and Robbins, I know that was a while ago now, but like, what's wrong with the hard fork? I think my issue with the whole thing right now is that there's obvious lies being told, and the inability to acknowledge reality. Like it's one thing to like have your opinions and what your predictions of what's going to happen once that mandatory activation comes. But when we all watch it with our own eyes and we see what happens there and we see which chain is the longest, and you're still trying to claim that yours is Bitcoin, like, I don't care what kind of technicality you're trying to get away with here. It's just bullshit. And nobody wants to call that out. And so, I'm seeing some really good chats here. There's probably been 3 or 4 people that said I was interested in BIP-110, but people have really exposed themselves. It's deeper than what they made it out to be. So that's my issue with it. Like, as Forrest said, it's a hard fork. We don't have to worry about it. But like, people are intentionally being lied to. And they've kind of created their own echo chamber by just blocking anybody who disagrees with them. And so they don't have any ability to see outside that echo chamber. And it's I wouldn't say scary, because again, everybody kind of has to learn these lessons on their own. It's one thing for me to say it, but it's another thing for people to actually sell their Bitcoin for Dash Coin or whatever it's going to be called now, and actually learn and see it and experience it and learn their lesson that way. So, it's easy for us to sit up here and say you should or shouldn't do this, but reality is people can do whatever the hell they want. And we're going to see the consequences of that over the next couple months.
I have an interesting question, especially for the people that have seen Bitcoin Cash themselves. I haven't, because I came into Bitcoin in 2020. Do you guys think the Luke coin, or like whatever it will be, has a chance of being as big as Bitcoin Cash? And I've asked that question
Bitcoin
because
Cash,
ask that question because Bitcoin Cash initially had huge support. There were like big people. It's almost like it would almost be similar as Michael Saylor now supporting the new Luke coin. Like Bitcoin Cash has had serious support from miners, from big spokespeople. Like you can make the argument it almost had consensus back then, way more consensus that BIP-110 or like the new coin of Luke ever had and ever will have. So I think it will be way smaller than Bitcoin Cash, but I'm curious if you guys think that potentially has a bigger, like, I know it will fail, but do you guys think that it has a potential to be as big as Bitcoin Cash once was?
Not even close. Not even close. I mean, it's this weird subjective thing where what did BIP-110 change? It changed the way spammers have to spam to do the same thing they want to do. And really, the huge breaking point of me not supporting BIP-110 was that all the people that were at the forefront of it, the vanguard of BIP-110, were just saying, we're just explicitly saying by introducing this BIP that Bitcoin we're not allowing Bitcoin to be used as data storage, even though it completely 100% could still be used as data storage by people that wanted to spam it. So all it was is just this subjective idea that because a team of developers that release free software that the vast majority of Bitcoiners use to run Bitcoin, I'm talking about Bitcoin Core, changed a default that now explicitly allowed Bitcoin to be used as data storage. This is just a complete subjective narrative, and that's the foundation of every argument they've had since then. And that foundation is flawed. So everything else built on top of it has these tiny truths. Yes, Bitcoin mining is too centralized. Yeah, more people need to run nodes. More plebs need to use nodes and actually use nodes. All of these little tiny things are true, but they're all built on a lie. They're all built on, or not a lie, just a falsehood, just a subjective falsehood that you can believe if you want, but the rest of the world doesn't believe it. It's really only a handful of people that actually think that. And so with that, BIP-110 is not making Bitcoin better. It wasn't making it better. It was just, again, this subjective thing that was just changing how you might define it based on what the devs decide to do, because there's a new team of devs that would that release the client for BIP-110. And at least with Bitcoin Cash, they were incorrect, but they were trying to make Bitcoin better, right? They created a hard fork that made bigger blocks so that transactions would be cheaper, right? It's at the surface level, second layer thinking, you begin to understand, oh, that makes Bitcoin less decentralized because it's harder to run a node because the nodes are bigger, and that's not the way to scale Bitcoin. But that's second layer. That's more complicated. You have to understand SegWit. You have to believe in the vision that Lightning became and all the other technologies that are still yet to be built on top of Bitcoin because of the changes that SegWit and Taproot have introduced. And at least there's a narrative there that kind of begins to make sense, right? So with BIP-110, it's just a matter of time before, like, oh, this is just Bitcoin again, but nobody's using it. There's no network. There's no protocol. There's no value. It's lost its value as Bitcoin. Why am I participating in this? So it's just a matter of time, and I don't think it's going to gain any significant. I literally think it's like maybe a couple thousand people are for.
You think even that?
I don't know. Like, yeah, maybe not even.
There are a lot of people in the Discord channel. I monitor that a little bit just to like. I actually made the work. I exported their chat and put it into Claude to see what they're actually saying, like what they're doing, what is the discussions, who are the leaders in that movement. Because yes, it's like mainly Luke, but there's like other supporting casts to that. And
but how many people do you think are in there for the same reason that you are, Robin? Like if you're basing it off the number,
just to learn, right? This has been a great learning experience. So people are in there just to see just genuine curiosity, and then there's people that are in there because they want an airdrop and they think this is going to be worth something.
Exactly. So like I think the total number in that group is 1,300. The last time I checked, it might be a little bit more than right now. And so even if everyone except myself is in there because you want to support it, it's like a small number. It's like nothing. I just want to do a very small housekeeping thing. We have currently like 86, 87. We're very close to the 90 people in the mastermind chat, which is really cool because we have never been at the mastermind channel that high. I think the closest we have been last time around was like 60, 70, something like that.
We just had 93 a second ago.
Oh yeah, like we had 93. So if you're in here, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. It really sends a signal, and I would love for it to go over 100 today. That would be hilarious. That would be really cool. So yeah, I think it works that we're now consolidating everything in that chat. We have about half the audience as we usually have on the mastermind, but we have to half that audience at least in one spot, and I think we'll keep on like building here. Just wanted to like shout that out. It's really cool to see everyone in here participating and having almost 100 different people in just that one new channel chat that we have been building out here.
So we have a tenth of what they have in the Discord. Should we launch a Bitcoin fork as well to see what how much money we could make from it? Right? Like, I don't know. There's nothing there. It's again, that's why I'm kind of just saying we can basically ignore this thing. We're stuck between a soft fork and a hard fork right here as we talk. But I think that this is ultimately a nothing burger, and I think that it's the same thing as every other crypto, in my opinion, where we just go ahead, go nuts. The three devs that are working on this hard fork, go nuts, introduce whatever you want, make this Bitcoin fork as pure as you possibly want. If you end up making any good ideas, the devs on actual Bitcoin will introduce that into Bitcoin in some sort of BIP and fashion. So, I mean, that's always been my thesis around crypto in general, is if anything useful on crypto ever happens, which is, we're still waiting for besides Bitcoin, besides money, then, Bitcoin can adopt it on some layer at some level.
Great point, Forrest. Yeah, that's,
Yep.
just take that, and that's really all you need to know is like, it doesn't improve anything. It's going to have way less network support. And you can see here what happened with Bitcoin Cash. This was back in 2017. And I was actually surprised to see this. It started out at a price of 410. I think it was about the same as Bitcoin at that time as well. Somebody might want to fact check me there. But then you see what happened actually over the next couple months. It shot up all the way to $2,791. So it pretty much 6 or 7x'd. But it didn't happen overnight or go away in a week. It almost took even freaking 5 years. I guess this was the alt run of 2021. But it's just kind of crazy to see. And, you can kind of expect this as well. I don't know do you guys know anybody who uses Bitcoin Cash for anything? Or is it just kind of like maybe this will end up taking over the network? I remember when I bought some Bitcoin Cash myself and I was somewhat new to Bitcoin. And I bought like 2 of them because I was like, well, just in case, like what if Bitcoin Cash comes back and people are using it instead of Bitcoin and it overtakes Bitcoin's market cap? I thought it was a pretty good gamble, but I didn't understand what the hell I was doing. It was just more of a lottery ticket at that point. But yeah, that's Bitcoin Cash. I don't think it'll look like this for Dash Junior's coin, but we'll have to see, I guess.
Yeah. By the way,
go ahead.
Trump bought 5,000 Bitcoin over the last quarter for anyone who wants to know. So, and the energy guy bringing in energy coins back into public. So, how many people talking about that? Kind of interesting.
I'd say
very interesting. I didn't know that.
Can't make this stuff up.
Think he's going to be buying Dash coin?
Probably not. There's going to be a big, nice boost. There'll be an initial boost. And I think Bitcoin Cash is basically held on because it's a proof of work chain with any sort of semblance of network. And so there's miners that they're basically, they need somebody to sell to. So there might be a little bit of that going on with this Dash coin, after it launches with whatever ASICs. We're mining some other shit coin. They'll move over to this one and pump up its price and popularity for a short time. We might see that. But there was one other thing that we haven't really addressed. that I wanted to ask you guys about, because this is the new debate, and I think Brandon was mentioning actually how there's sort of always these future fears, right? The nuclear war is always on the horizon, right? This is the narrative that I've been seeing with the BIP-110 side, is that there's this fear on the horizon that like we can't not prove it. Like, nuclear war is on the horizon. It's always this like Schrodinger's cat, right? It's there, but it's not there, right? You can't say that it's not going to happen because it's possible. So it's kind of this, yeah, all these things. Exactly. So it's the same thing I see going on with BIP-110, which is the most hilarious narrative, I think, is that, you know, miners are going to now push for 22 million coins. That they're not going to give themselves a halving anymore. They're going to increase the subsidy. There's their demurrage, all these terrible ideas that people have come up with over time that are wildly unpopular are now all of a sudden going to get pushed in by miners, because miners completely control everything now, is sort of the narrative. I think it's ridiculous. And I think it is this moving the goalpost and moving the problem to this thing that you can literally go to your deathbed saying that it's just around the corner. Miners are going to push for 22 million, and you're never wrong, but you're also never right until we have a change in Bitcoin that is not popular by miners. Like, you know, a change that the nodes would want, and that actually gains enough popularity, which is actually why BIP-110 failed, in my opinion, not because miners colluded, but because there wasn't enough support to strong arm the miners into a change. Yeah, just wanted to get your guys' thought on that. Like, are the miners now malicious? That's the narrative, right? Are the miners in control? Do nodes not matter? I'd love to get your thoughts on that, because that's the new debate, and that's the new narrative, and that's the thing that will convince people to give up their Bitcoin at this point, from what I'm seeing.
I mean, look at the freaking chat right now. There's people talking about it in the chat right now.
This is wild. I would say most people in the chat are completely just off the rocker right now. This is wild. Like, I'm stunned. Like, this is.
But here's the thing. Like, I think people have this, and I've kind of gone back and forth with a couple people on Twitter the last couple of days about this. Just, I don't know where this narrative came from. The Forrest is talking about that we're going to increase the supply to 22 million. When you actually stop and think about it, how would that go down? Okay, so let's just say that the miners are in control of Bitcoin right now. Let's just say that, because they're very centralized. This is a miner attack on Bitcoin. Let's just assume that that's the case. So miners are in control. If they're the ones who decide that they want to increase the supply cap, which is essentially going to dilute themselves for one, and maybe get a little slightly higher payout in the future because of it, if they're lucky, if they mine a block. But who doesn't want that? Me, everybody watching this chat, all the node runners. And that's when you can actually exert your influence to stand up against the miners, because that's when everybody could say, hey, we're just going to hard fork here. All of us users, this entire network, everybody else is going to use this different version of Bitcoin, and the miners are going to be stuck mining a coin that nobody wants. That's like how this plays out under that scenario. And it just doesn't make any sort of sense. The miners wouldn't do that. And I just don't see any other party involved in Bitcoin that would potentially want to do that. If that's your argument, like the tail emission thing, that miners are worried that they're not going to get paid enough. If it's just the miners who want that to happen, it doesn't matter. That's where we could actually exert our influence here. We didn't do it because we didn't feel like we needed to in this BIP-110, but we could. And all of a sudden you have all the existing network just move over. And that's why these soft forks and hard forks are in place in the first place, so that there's not one party who gets to decide how Bitcoin is and what Bitcoin is. So at that point, when it's something that contentious, I think that the network would agree that, hey, we don't want that. That doesn't make any sense. We're going to do something else. And then the miners will be wasting all this energy on mining something that nobody wants anymore.
Yeah, you got to think about what miners are. Miners are net sellers of Bitcoin, and they are buyers of electricity and compute. And they either do it directly with their own operations, or they have a pool where other people sell their hash rate to them, and they are buyers of that hash rate in exchange for the Bitcoin that they then sell to fund operations. So if they try to do something that's wildly unpopular to the masses of Bitcoiners and the holders and the buyers of Bitcoin, you and I and all of us, then those people stop buying Bitcoin, and then there's no buyers for the miners to sell to. So they cannot do something that misaligns incentives where they disrupt the value proposition of Bitcoin. They are subservient to the broader network. They do have some power. And again, this is the thing with the BIP-110 narrative, is there's these little kernels of truth. Miners do have some power. We just saw them have power of being able to mine blocks that created the heaviest chain that made a soft fork not happen. They have power to create blocks, but that doesn't mean that they're not subservient to the broader Bitcoin network, because their mining operations stop being profitable if no one wants to buy their Bitcoin because of what changes they are trying to implement.
And what would be the incentive of that?
I just want to bring that quickly up because people, BIP-110 people always assume they have the support of everyone running a node. And it's just like factually not true. And there's even been some like people that digged into the data and tried to find out like who are like duplicate nodes that like in the same IP address and stuff like that, and deduplicated it's even less than 20%. So right now about 20% of all nodes, a little bit more than that, are knots. But then you have to factor in, and I think that was also the question that was it. I forgot who asked the question, but like nodes don't matter topic. All nodes matter, I think. Like every single node matters, but not on the individual basis. If one node wants something, that count doesn't matter. If 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 nodes want something, that matters. And so like the more nodes we have, the more people that run full nodes, the better it is, because the network gets more decentralized. But my main point, and I just wanted to bring that in there, they don't have consensus or like even a slight majority on the node level. And when we think about this discussions of like, oh yeah, the miners concluded against the node runners. No, the node runners concluded with the miners. Like that kind of what would happen. The node runners and the miners and the network and the exchanges and everyone had consensus that BIP-110 is not a good idea. It was just like a small minority group that wanted it. And if that would have happened, if that minority group would have actually pushed it through, that would have been more concerning for me, because this shows that a small group of people can actually change Bitcoin. That's the concerning thing, not BIP-110 not succeeding, if you guys know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Good point. And again, trying to bully people and say it's my way or the highway and all that's not going to work. But this is a question, and Forrest answered it, but Shane wants to know, and this is kind of like the big 800-pound gorilla in the room. They assume that if you're not running BIP-110, that means you're for spam. That's the narrative. If you don't want BIP-110, that means you want spam. So Forrest, I know you've already
schooling. A lot of governments. No nuance.
What?
No, a lot of government-run schooling, I said.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just quickly say I'm not going to pull up all of the information. This has been months and months of this going on, because the original proposition of BIP-110 was that it was going to reduce spam, right, in these certain data fields. And as soon as all that information was released and the code bases were there, spammers quickly went to work and completely routed around all of them. So they were able to do ordinals, stamps, BRC20 wasn't even affected at all, because it was only going to reduce op return to the consensus level of 83 bytes, which is all compliant with runes anyway. So essentially all spamming techniques are just created in a BIP-110 compliant way. So then the narrative had to shift, and it is that meme of the guy standing at the conveyor belt in the factory. Oh, we're making this now, right? It's gone from toys to consumer drones to military equipment, right? It's just the goalpost always moves, or the thing that we're doing is always moving. It's always shifting. Now it's malicious miners and all that shit that we've already talked about. So the narrative went to what I talked about initially, which is that but Core changing the policy of op return explicitly calls Bitcoin data storage. And again, that's a subjective belief. And that is the only thing that BIP-110 was doing, is signaling to the broader market, which is another word for that is virtue signaling, considering it didn't actually do anything really, is it's signaling to the market that Bitcoin is not explicitly being advertised or used as data storage, even though it was 100% was completely capable of still being so under a BIP-110 under BIP-110 rules. And that is just a ridiculous reason to change something at the consensus level of Bitcoin, the rules that we all abide by voluntarily being in Bitcoin. Making changes to that to signal something that is a subjective belief is risk for no reward. And you cannot risk and disrupt the base layer of Bitcoin, the consensus layer of Bitcoin, without serious reward doing so. You put everybody's savings in jeopardy. Right. At the end of the day, Bitcoin is software, and all the gold bugs out there, they have a valid argument that that's something physical that they can have that has history, and Bitcoin is just software. And if we start messing with the software too much at the consensus layer, they have a really good argument, and we just become crypto again, because that's all crypto does too. So we need to protect that at every possible level that we can, and we should be adamantly against, as Bitcoiners, we should be staunchly against soft forks and hard forks immediately upon hearing about them. Then we can start saying, okay, you have that proposal, I am naturally against it, now tell me why I shouldn't be. Convince me really well. Oh, it's for spam? Okay, I don't like spam. Is it effective? No? Let's not do it then. Is it virtue signaling? I don't care about that. I don't give a shit about signaling virtue. I just want this to work efficiently and have stability.
What do we say on the other side? Sorry, Brendan. What do we say on the other side? And that was great. That was a great breakdown for us. But the people on the other side, and I was there, that say, okay, I hear you, Forrest, and that, and doesn't stop spam and this, that, and the third. But what gives Bitcoin Core the right to open up the op returns from 80 to 100,000 and without our permission? What do we say to the people about that? Because that's the number one thing and we have to combat that. What do you guys think about that?
It's a private group of developers. They can do whatever they want. We don't have any control over what other people do with their actions.
Bitcoin Core isn't Bitcoin, right?
Bitcoin Core isn't Bitcoin. That's exactly right, George. That's exactly right. Bitcoin Core is the reference implementation. So what they do does have effect. But what they did was they changed a policy default. And you can go into Core and you
can still do it, right, Forrest? You could still you could already do it. Yeah.
100%. You can change it. You can change it back. It's the default policy. The reason they changed that default policy is because it no longer worked, and everybody's nodes were being slowed down, or not having compact block relay as efficient, and it was creating it was basically routing around certain nodes. So certain nodes that had more restrictive defaults at that layer were being kind of removed from certain networks, so transactions would move to the miners that wanted to see them. Out of band transactions were happening. This would benefit and centralize mining in some minute way. It's not a big deal that they did this. It's free open source software that a team of developers releases, and you have the option to download and use it. There is a problem where we have relied on this one team too much, and we aren't supporting alternate implementations. That's what Core was, or that's what Knots was. The reaction to what Core did, a perfectly reasonable and adequate response, was moving over to Bitcoin Knots and having different default implementations, supporting a different developer team, and funding them and doing all of that. That was a completely reasonable response. And so there is some control. But again, if Bitcoin Core tried to make a change, they literally did make a minute change to policy defaults, and 25% of the network moved over to a different implementation. So it had an effect. If they tried to make a change to consensus layer, what would happen then, right? That would be a forceful change that everybody would see happen. and it would be something they would have to upgrade to or not upgrade to. They would have to reject or accept. And then we could basically actually begin to have the conversation that we've had for this last year of Core having too much power and actually trying to change something fundamental at Bitcoin's layer. And then we could reject that if we wanted to, based on that change. But policy is a lot of the policy change to Bitcoin has been inflated in its importance drastically. You know, the reports of Bitcoin's death have been, you know, over-reported, or whatever that saying is. It's such a minor issue that was blown so far out of proportion, basically. But I mean, still, there's all these little kernels of truth. Should we only have one reference implementation? Should we have? I think we should still have other implementations that don't break consensus. We need more dev teams. We need more people independently working on non-consensus breaking software so that we don't have to rely on whatever Core does. And again, the only change they can effectively implement to Bitcoin is at the policy level. If they try to do something at consensus level, it will be way more heavily scrutinized than what happened here.
So true. What up, Lou?
LV Nation.
What's good, guys? You guys been on here for an hour.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's
wow,
good,
it's already
man?
been an hour.
You got a nice crowd. Yeah, my bad, guys. I just
Forrest, you got to get out of here.
I do. Yeah, I gotta go. Sorry, guys.
Forrest.
Lou.
Get to see.
Glad
good
you
to see
got
bro.
to say your piece.
Yeah, you too, man. Sorry, I had to leave here.
Good
But
stuff, brother.
yeah, good to see you guys.
See you,
See you,
Forrest.
bro.
Bye-bye.
I actually subscribed to Forrest. What's that? Like the extra content you do outside of YouTube and YouTube. What's that called?
Membership?
Why is Jam?
Oh yeah, but the
Oh,
membership.
oh.
Yeah, I don't know why I just had a brain freeze. But no, I just got back from New York City, bro. It's had a crazy trip. Saw a lot of people. Had the funeral and stuff, and bro, I burnt out, bro. I just stopped posting. I just disappeared for a few days, probably like 4 days gone. And
Good.
yeah, so it feels good. Feels good to be back though.
Good.
How's everything, man? How's all you guys doing?
Amazing. We're doing good. I don't know about the chat though.
What's going on with the chat?
I've tried to stay quiet. I think I might just lose my mind today if I start opening my mouth too much. So
What happened with the chat?
just
I'm curious, Lou, how much do you see the BIP-110 thing, and do you follow it at all?
Yeah, I've been following it for some time. Obviously, I kept up with the whole thing. You know, as far as the blocks, and then just to see how much life it had, and some of the BIP-110 representatives like Fred Krueger and all these other guys that were really pushing for it. And then there was it looked like there was momentum with a certain block with the Ocean, if I'm not mistaken. Like somebody mined the block on Ocean. I'm not really the most technical Bitcoin savvy guy, but I thought that this was a big deal. Just obviously, I think it was a soft fork that happened. It was a reminder of the fork wars back in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. That's when it was. Which I thought those guys were right, by the way. Bitcoin Cash should be Bitcoin today. It should, in my opinion. It should not take me. I mean, maybe I don't know, but it should take me an hour, 3 hours just to fucking send some Bitcoin, depending on the size, depending on what miner wants to pick it up or not. So, yeah, I think the Bitcoin core. I think all these guys are retarded. Most of the time, they're very slow. I think when it comes to quantum, it's hard to get people to come to Bitcoin and know that the Bitcoin developers are all fucking stupid and retarded. I think I think I watched the Block Wars, and how can you not be on the side of what's that guy's name? He ended up becoming like a Bitcoin Cash maxi.
Bitcoin Jesus.
Was that him?
Roger Ver.
Roger, yes. I mean, come on, bro. That dude was right. He was right. These guys take they just take long. It just seems like, as an outsider of Bitcoin for a long time, just watching it, they just all look stupid and retarded all the time. and they have to think extra hard. And I think by the time quantum comes and we have a real quantum threat, I think these guys are going to take 2-3 years just to figure it out when they could be figuring it out now. I don't know.
It's a consortium, man. Don't worry. Michael Saylor's all over it. The chat's going to love that. They're all over quantum.
I'm trolling most of it, guys. But some of you guys are
also you got to Roycio White it, Lou. You know, you got to lean into the ridiculousness.
But some of the people in the chat are also retarded, so it's okay. We can all be retarded together, bro. It's okay.
Cognitive dissonance makes you retarded. It does. That's a fact of life. We've all been there.
Bro, they blew open the block size at the expense of nodes, just like core screwing up over nodes. Now, increasing block size hurts decentralization. Bro, I ain't gonna lie. Let me tell you something. After what happened with Cold Card, fuck you and decentralization, bro. You guys are messing up Bitcoin. You guys are the problem. All this, I'm turning into British Huddle, bro. Yeah, I'm like,
you gotta shave your head next.
I don't know, man. When you put your entire life savings into Bitcoin, I feel like I have a say. I think we all have a say, but I think that, with my opinion, it just, I'm choosing violence when it comes to a lot of these, a lot of people in Bitcoin. I don't know. It's just my opinion, but
I mean, it's your opinion, Lou. And I mean, that's why it's interesting to have, different perspectives on the show here. That's the beauty of it. It's called a mastermind because we all don't think the same. I think that
hey, no way, Robert left. Bro said I do not want to be a part of this.
Hey, you're tarnishing Robin's brand. Well, Robin's gone, Forrest is gone. I guess we're gonna be here for the next 3 freaking hours. But
no. Can I respond to this real quick? Somebody said this guy put his entire life savings on Robinhood. Sure, you put your entire life savings on Cold Card and you got fucked. So, I mean,
you are British Huddle.
I'm just saying, bro, like, I think these guys think they're better. Like, oh, like there's an air gap and there's offline and there's all this and all of that. And it was a bug that, got $130 million. Is that how much Bitcoin overall got cooked? So stop thinking that your way is the extreme way, bro. You got cooked, bro. A lot of people got cooked because of this idea. Not your keys, not your cheese, until your keys are the entropy is weak. Like it just, so you just got to be humble, man. Stay humble, stack sats, and do it your way. And your way might be the good way, or it might be a solid way from 2021 to 2026. But throughout that time, you just got lucky. You got lucky that LLMs and hackers weren't really into it until they got into it and they found the biggest bug that you could possibly find and the most reputable and the most like Cold Card. From my research, it was the most like when you told somebody about cold storage, or you told somebody about a hardware wallet, or somebody about, hey, I think you should move your coins off the exchange, Cold Card was the thing to put it into. So like I don't think that, and I think for good reasons. I don't think it was bad reasons. If you rolled your own dice, you're good. But yeah.
No, I mean you hit on something perfect there, Lou. It's that everybody's different.
Yeah,
so I think that was the main takeaway for me the last 2 weeks here, is that Bitcoin self-custody isn't for everybody at this moment. I do believe that if you want some level of sovereignty and you want the ability to transact privately and move between countries without the authorities knowing how much wealth you're storing in your head, yeah, I mean, it's there for you, but clearly it's not for everybody. And I think that, that's a good lesson to learn. And you're absolutely right. Even if you keep your Bitcoin in a Robinhood or an IBIT for a while, I think that if you want that level of sovereignty and you're willing to put in the work to understand what it means to get there, then you should do that. I think that everybody should. I think you're stupid if you don't want sovereignty in this life, especially with the way things are increasing in terms of surveillance and AI tools and all this shit and, capital controls. For me personally, because I've spent so much time in this space, I want that sovereignty. That's what I've worked for the last 5 years here. I want that. That's all I'm here for. Even if Bitcoin's price went up a little bit over the next 10 years, I would still rather put in the time to understand how the banks can't fuck me over, how my governments can't fuck me over. That's worth it to me. So is that for everybody? I would hope so, but apparently not. It's like, but at the same time, it's not something that should be rushed into. It should be taken very seriously if you are going to do it. And there is and are ways that you can do that in a very safe way that I would argue is even more safe than Robinhood's. Not only more sovereign, more flexible, but actually safer than Robinhood. It's just that people didn't take the time to do that. They thought it was a half-an-hour video they could watch and put it in their safe, and that was it. But it's just like you can't half-ass self-custody.
Yeah.
Well, no matter what, putting it into Robinhood or Coinbase, like you're just leaving it up to them. And at the end of the day, if fucking Scott Besson wants to come and tell Robinhood to freeze your funds, they're going to freeze your funds. We've seen that happen with USDT, if I'm not mistaken, from Iran's some Iranian generals that are living outside of Iran. You know, Scott Besson comes, the Treasury Secretary, and he'll just freeze it. Obviously, you cannot freeze my Bitcoin and my Trezor wallet with, my 24-word C phrase or even 12. So, yes, I agree with you. But I will say that, again, I do hope that it is for everybody. And, temporarily, I moved my savings into Robinhood because I felt that, hey, I don't know, the way my brain works, and maybe Brandon or Jerry could help me with this, but the way my brain works is like when you see one thing happen, right? Like there was a bug, cold card, single sig, and you have single sig, most likely you're like, how crazy would it be if like Treasure's single sig or Treasure's, you know what I mean? Like you just start going through the motions. Yeah. You're like, I got to go to an exchange. Like, let me just make sure, until everything is safe, let me go. And then you start looking at every option. You start really to take, self-custody extremely serious. But yes, to your point, I think self-custody is the whole goal of Bitcoin. I think that should be the whole goal of Bitcoin. As far as, obviously great technology, but just more like, hey, not your keys, not your cheese. I still believe in that, but it's a tough one. And it was a tough hit as a whole, you know what I mean? And then this BIP-110 stuff, it's just been a crazy time in Bitcoin. Maybe am I bugging? Like, it's been such a, like you saw BTC pay. Like, I mean, there was just like, it's just a lot going on. You know what I'm saying? Like but Bitcoin usually suffers first, right? Bitcoin usually has to go through the motions before the rest of, traditional finance goes through it. So I'm sure at some point we'll see, a hack or LLM find some type of bug or something, banks. I think banks use like closed, not open source. So we'll see what happens next. But Bitcoin usually smells the danger from, months or years ahead of everything else.
Absolutely. And this last 10, 12 days or whatever it's been, for me, has been the roughest. I had to move my Bitcoin too. And there was a lot of despair. And like, man, I got all my savings on this thing that all these Bitcoiners told me was good, and it was no good. And now we're learning about, again, dice and entropy. And now we had the fork and we had other things break down, losing sentiment, losing some of our, some of our soldiers in this war. But I will say this, the reason why we won the American Revolution, for a lot of reasons politically and on the battlefield, but in particularly on the battlefield, George Washington, and I'm talking to the BIP-110ers out here when I say this. So I want you guys to listen to me real quick. I get it. I understand how you feel. You feel like you lost and it's done and blah, 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 blah. But all I want you to do is look at your cold storage or wherever you got your Bitcoin now, and your sats are still the same. You didn't lose any sats. That's number one. Number two, I'm not saying that the BIP-110 people lied to you or, you've been psyoped. I'm not saying any of that. You should want not spam in the network. You should want sovereignty in Bitcoin. You should want nodes running Bitcoin instead of miners. You're not wrong about that, right? But it's a thing of you have to pick your battles, number one. And number two, how do you go about winning? George Washington, the reason why he was so successful, a lot of people don't know this, he lost more battles than he won. But he won the war. You lost this battle, but it's okay, right? It's okay to be wrong. Just don't stay wrong. Just don't stay wrong, guys. It's okay. You saw it. You saw what happened, whether you want to, say it happened because the miners cheated and it doesn't matter if we had 55%. I've heard all that stuff. But the reason why George Washington won, because he knew when he lost to say, hey, guys, it's time to retreat. Let's pack our stuff and let's go. And we'll fight another fight. And we'll regroup. So don't go against your brothers, man. We're calling each other names in the chat. We're calling each other R words. And, I love that word, by the way. F words, R words. But we're all on the same team. And don't put more energy towards negative energy towards the people that want the same thing, but do it a different way than we are against the central bankers and the Fed.
Are we on the same team as some of these people? It's a good question.
I think we are.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Question.
I don't know.
Speak your mind. Go ahead.
I'm a retard, so apparently
go ahead, Brandon. Come on. Let us know. Are we on the same team as some of these people?
I honestly don't have much to say today. It's better, again, when your emotions go up, intelligence goes down. And so if you don't have anything nice to say, it's better not to say anything at all. Clearly, there's a lot of people that have never seen me talk before, never watched my channel, never seen me on Bitcast, never seen me on BTC-Mastermind. Probably one of the few people out there, Jerry talked about this, but like lowering pressure and noise and not calling names the entire time for months and years on end. So the level of cognitive dissonance and people just completely brainwashed is wild. Like wild. I never it's just wild to me. Absolutely wild.
Oh, can I say
left field.
Can I say this real quick? I guess it's because it's so intimate, right? We have 88 people, 100 people. Just imagine, I always use the example, imagine 100 people in your room. That's a lot of people. But I will say that somebody said calling people R words just shows how pathetic and stupid you are. I'm going to be honest with you. Usually the way I deal with chats, I don't deal with them. Like, I just like when you get views or you get comments, it's like 1,000 comments. You're just not going to read all of them. We're reading your guys' comments. So, it feels more intimate. You know what I'm saying? But most of the time, bro, I'm going to be honest. I wouldn't even read it. LV, why are we not same side though? I think we are. I'm trolling. I can't troll this chat. I think Bitcoiners I think we all got our life savings in this one thing. So it's going to be hard to troll. Brandon is funny on the thumbnail. I did see the thumbnail too. I'm not going to lie. That was the first thing I woke up and saw. I thought it was a good job.
Brandon, did you think we had a new member? And Brandon was out. Did you think we had a new person in the mastermind chat?
Yeah, I was like, who's this guy with his USA hat? Is that a USA hat? Or that looks like a URA hat.
That's a good one.
I mean, I look more like, I don't know what I look like. I look older. Is that what it is?
Jerry did a good job, except for Brandon, but that's not Jerry's fault.
Robin's face
it's not doing his job.
This is good.
Anyways, here's what I'll say on the live chat here.
I like it, bro. I like it.
And Brandon, I'm sure you probably don't get these kind of messages on like your stream. Maybe in Bitcast you would. There's a lot of dipshits in that chat for sure.
Like a preacher.
But I don't know, man. There's just like I've just seen like this one person, and I don't know who it is. I mentioned this on the live stream today, but they have like 20 different usernames and they all talk the exact same language. It's really weird. And they don't make any sense, but then once in a while they'll like say something that almost makes them seem like a person. But it's just like, I just completely ignore it. Whenever I see these certain keywords or like the way they're putting things, I just don't even recognize it. It just doesn't mean anything to me. So it's he does look like Drake in that thumbnail, I think.
No, he looked like he just said I look like current day genuine, bro. That's foul. Saying that is foul. Oh, that's crazy. Well,
so anyways, Brandon, what I'm saying is,
what happened to Brandon though? Who's been talking crazy? Like what have they said? Like who? Like what? Maybe because I missed out on
against Brandon.
I mean, yeah, it's not really against me. It's just like just the level of we mentioned the political stuff earlier, and this is the wild part. And I think I'm trying to have empathy for people, but like I said earlier, I empathize with the Knots crowd. The BIP-110 stuff killed it, but I understand most people are on the Knots side of things. They want Bitcoin as money. They want less spam. But the BIP-110 crowd cannot see that. And now after this is all done, this is very apparent now. Like, it's very apparent. Like, this is just can't get it through any of their heads that you're people that were on your side that believed a lot of what you said, which is vast majority of people, again, vast majority of people, even the people that were against BIP-110 actually believed in the virtue signaling or the signaling of what was going on. But no one could see that. Like, and then you don't step back from the fray and say, you know what? If we don't have consensus, maybe we need to politic a little bit more. Maybe we need to build a bigger coalition. Maybe we need to develop better arguments instead of just screaming and mudslinging at people. None of that. Right. And so that's where it's like, and then if you don't believe what I say and what I'm doing, then you're an evil person. You love this. I mean, it's like, what are we doing? So the people that are on your team, actually, you are now disparaging those people and then driving all of them away. And this happens in politics. And this was like I said earlier, the Venezuela stuff would happen. I was the first person like, what the fuck are you doing, Trump? Like, what is going on here? But over those next couple of months and the Iran stuff, I was like, yeah, this is ridiculous. Like, I'm out. But then over the next couple hours or the next couple days, as everything that the left, the alt-right, the progressives, the woke, the libertarians said would happen and then didn't, you have to upgrade your mental set. You have to say, I was wrong. Look yourself in the mirror like a fucking man and say, I was wrong. I am wrong. What did I get wrong? I have to go change something. My predictive behavior, my brain is not where it should be. What do I need to do? And for me, that's what I've done over the last 6 or 8 months. So I was in many of these people's shoes, but they have not made that upgrade yet. And I've been very empathetic in trying to coax people along this journey and telling them, hey, this was my journey too over the last 6, 8, 9, 12 months. But just cannot see it. Some people don't want to be helped. They want to be victims. They want to hurt themselves. Contrarians, sometimes they want to be like when the herd, because again, I have this gene too. When everyone starts coming my way after I've done work for 10 years on something, and then everyone says, oh yeah, you were right, finally, I'm coming your way, I start to get a little anxious. I'm like, whoa. I got to go find something else now. And so that's this behavior that, again, I speak all these languages. And I think that's what's most frustrating, because you can see it in Bitcoin, you see it in politics, you see it just shooting ourselves in the foot, just over and over again. It's BIP-110. Oh, I'm against Trump now. All this stuff. Like, I loved him a year ago. Now I don't, because I can't see the forest in the trees. I'm not listening to what they're saying. I'm listening to Tucker. I'm listening to CNN. I'm listening to the Young Turks. Go do your homework. Don't shut any of it off. Go listen to more sources. Maybe there's people out there. I've talked about the American system for what, 6, 7 months now? There's another system out there. There's a playbook being run, but it's not the playbook you've ever been told. And if you don't want to listen to the coming out of their mouth, Vance, Rubio, Warsh, Bessent, Trump, if you don't want to do the homework, I can't help you. Doesn't mean he's the best guy in the world. Doesn't mean he's an angel. Of course not. It doesn't mean Luke Dasher is an angel or core people are angels. No one is. I'm not. We're humans. But like this level of cognitive dissonance where we can't get out of our own way and we just keep shooting ourselves in the foot. We run ourselves over a car and we back over it again. And we can't upgrade our flipping mind is wild to me. Again, Tucker, Candace, the left, Young Turks, Legacy News, all of them said, if you do this in Iran, it's going to be nuclear holocaust. It's going to be this, that. It didn't happen. And if you thought it was about the Strait of Hormuz, well, it is about messing up the energy choke point, but it was open already. Like, nice job. It was already open, of course. So you might have to think, well, maybe it wasn't because of that. Maybe there was a different game at play here. I mean, it's like I could go over 100 things, and I've tried to explain these things, but some people want to continue to hurt themselves. Period. End of story. And it's just like this chat just shows it. It just shows that people want to be the victim. They don't want to be helped. My wife's an attorney, for crying out loud. We work with people all the time who just constantly want to be a victim. They constantly want handouts. They want someone else to do the work for them. The only way you're going to make it going forward in the country or you personally, your family, is makers versus takers. It's building. Go to effing Congress. Go to your local municipality. Actually get off your ass and do something. Do something. Actually do it. Fucking do it. And go make a change. Go be the change instead of going into the fucking cornfield like a loser. Like, this is wild to me. Everyone wants to sit here and pontificate on fucking Twitter or some, ridiculous thing and do nothing. Go get off your ass and do something. I just said the other day, I will be in 2 years. I tried to do this recently for the local city council here. I will be doing this shit going forward. Putting my money where my mouth is. Putting my sats where my mouth is. The power persuades. All the hot air doesn't get you anywhere. Clearly, BIP-110 just showed you that. Hot air does not get you anywhere. If you have the power, the energy, the persuasion, then guess what? That's what's going to move the needle. Not sitting here and screaming and yelling at people. That's what the woke left does. Anyway, I keep going. I'm gonna land the plane.
Hey, bro. That was amazing. That was the best rant I've seen you. That was good. I feel like you hit on a lot of points. Could I ask you this real quick? Because this is something. This is like a back and forth I've been seeing a lot. So I'm guessing if you admit BIP-110 failed, or if you admit, or if you weren't on BIP-110 side, would you be considered like a suit coiner? Is that what it is? Is that the narrative? Is like the suits versus the so. Here's why I asked that, because I think that people it's confusing to me that people don't see it, but Bitcoin is not going to be run by people who self-custody or push that or are not the suits.
It's not run by anybody. That's the point.
I mean, majority who has the most money, that's who's really gonna. I don't know how to explain this, but it does. Suit coiner-ish. You could say it's not run by anybody, sure, but it's always going to be ran by who has the most.
It's not run by anybody. If somebody wanted to make a change to it tomorrow, they couldn't do it.
Yeah, but if somebody wanted to dump $60 billion tomorrow, he can, and that person's name is Michael Saylor, and that will.
Yeah, but that doesn't have any impact. That'll have a short-term price impact on the fiat value of it, but overall, Bitcoin will just be Bitcoin next week.
Yeah, I don't think Bitcoin per se, like the protocol. I'm just talking about who are the majority now. I just don't see. Sure, I think 61% of the money is still retail, but I think with ETFs and I think with all these treasuries, I mean, they're blowing up anyways. I just don't know how long. I think for Bitcoin to take that next step, as far as just next step period, like into the mainstream, I just think that the suits are going to be more empowered. Maybe I'm wrong. Brandon or Jordan.
No, I mean,
it just seems like that way to me. Like there's no way around that.
This is okay. This is such a great point, because this is exactly the BIP-110 movement was an anti-influencer movement, and not like influencers here like us, but it was Michael Saylor, the people that have power to lose point. Guess what? Newsflash: the people that have the money, he who has the Bitcoin makes the rules. Michael Saylor has a lot of influence, of course, and this is what people are worried about. You know, is there a centralization problem in Bitcoin? You can make arguments for different parts of it. Are there things that are concentrated? Yes. Like there's a concentration in mining pools, stuff like that, but there's still decentralization. A miner can go take and share his, point his hash somewhere else. There are solutions to these things, and there are people working on solutions to these things. And things like this happening are what create more of these solutions. Necessity is the mother of all invention. So again, the political stuff, again, he is the gold makes the rules. He who has the Bitcoin makes the rules. So there are, of course, going to be players. But this is the problem with Bitcoiners. Again, that it's thinking we can substitute Bitcoin or the network for all of humanity, thinking like it's going to like outsource all of our decision making and everything. Can it create different incentives in people? Look, we have a fraction of the earth that uses Bitcoin, and even that fraction, still a lot of them can't even figure out self-custody. So do we believe? A lot of people meme if you don't change Bitcoin, Bitcoin changes you. Well, it has changed me. I know it's changed many of the people in the chat and the many people here, but that's going to take time. Like that takes. I've been here for damn near 10 years. Like if you had to get 8 billion people onboarded to that, we're talking decades, hundreds of years for that to happen. Like, let's just be real about it. And so the problem is you have people that think we're going to keep everyone else out. We're going to build Bitcoin at the North Pole by what? A select group of people, the plebs. How do we decide who's a pleb, who's not? Is there a certain like net worth? I have no idea. And then we're going to build the North Pole. And then 57 years from now, at the right time, the right moment, we're going to unveil it on the world and say, hey, Santa's here. Here's Bitcoin. All of us plebs get it, that we decided who's the pleb and who isn't, because we forked the right people off and the wrong people out and whatever. And then now the rest of you morons get it. The rest of the aristocracy gets it, and the oligarchs get it now. Haha, sorry. That's the world. That's the world Bitcoiners live in. It's this fantasy world, thinking that the incentives are just going to change society on the perfect trajectory arc of utopia, and then we're going to get to this. No one wants to admit that it's going to be top down to lose point. There's going to be Michael Saylor. Donald Trump just doubled his Bitcoin stack in the last couple of months. and it went from 9 to 14,000. It's going to be these players in this world because, again, we all meme into the existence. Oh, Bitcoin's for everyone, and oh, money, it's for your enemies. But no one actually believes it, apparently. No one actually believes it. So these people get it, and it's like, oh, and here I am. I mean, I feel like an insane person because a year ago, if you would have told me I'm defending Michael Saylor and and Donald Trump, like these are big guys, like they don't need anyone defending them, and I'm out here like having to make a case for these two billionaires. Like it's wild to me, and that's the thing. I think it's so frustrating for me is that people just not seeing this. So it's going to be bottom up and top down. You have to have a pleb movement, people custodying, because it's the people in the Trojan horse running nodes, custodying, because that's what can suffocate the legacy system over time. But it's not going to be, we're building the North Pole, we're suffocating the whole system, and it's on our timeline in our way. That's just, it's completely illogical. So it's going to be a top down and bottom up movement. I feel like Mugatu and Zoolander, like I'm taking crazy pills right now.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that yes, like you're right in the sense of people like Saylor, Trump, whoever you want to call it, the people who have a lot of assets or Bitcoin even, they have influence, right? And that's fine. Nobody can ever change that. Like we don't have the ability to stop Michael Saylor from buying Bitcoin, selling Bitcoin, telling people to buy Bitcoin. We can't do that. But you have to understand that no matter how much Bitcoin they have, and assuming they don't get to like, X amount of hash rate, 51% of the hash rate, they can't do fuck all about it. They just can't. And that's the difference between the Bitcoin network and the fiat system, is that the fiat system has the ability to create money. That's the problem here. Everybody's going to have influence based on what they've done, what they do today, how big their audience is. We can't stop that. But what we can do with Bitcoin is stop people from printing money and essentially deciding the winners and the losers of society and creating this K-shaped economy where if you have assets and they print money, you get richer. And if you don't have assets, you get poorer. That's what we're trying to solve here. We're not trying to make everything perfectly fucking equal for everybody, but we want to make it fair. That's the point, right?
I was keeping up with the Bitcoin University stuff, but he kind of lost me at inside job vibes. I was like, oh yeah, here we go, bro. Here we go.
It's stupidity, man. I don't even know if that's a real person. It's I'm serious. Like that's the point, is that we don't know, right? And that's like what Bitcoin is another thing that solves that whole issue. Is like, no, Lou, I'm serious here. Like, in order to have Bitcoin, you need to have energy. You need to have proof of work. Spam comments are an example of the fiat system where you can spin up 1 million fucking bots and go attack chat rooms like this. With Bitcoin and spam and all these things, it's a different system. You need proof of work. You need energy to have influence. You can't just print things or spam things or it's all abstract in that world. And it's so important for people to understand that it's not going to be fair, or it's not going to be equal, but it's going to be fair. And I think that that's really all we can ask for in society, is for things to be fair.
Yeah, I would say that a lot of this stuff does line up politically. Speaking back to Brandon's point, I had a conversation with one of my friends who does YouTube as well, and we were talking about, who has actual influence in politics, like who can move and make people go somewhere. And I think Trump has been the most influential political figure, whether you like him or not, in the last 10 years. And one person that was headed that way was Charlie Kirk. He could move an entire base of people from point A to point B. And that's what political influence is. Can you get people to pose? Can you get people to show up places? That is hard. And so when it comes to Bitcoin, I think it's kind of like the same thing. Does someone have actual influence? Do movements have influence, or is it just a social media thing, right? And I think for now, we kind of see that not everybody has that influence and you might think that they do or whatever. But in all seriousness, like all trolling aside, Bitcoin, I think the way a lot of people look at it is stop messing with Satoshi's invention. Like, I think that's a good, fair point. I think people, obviously, they want spam out. They want to make things. They want Bitcoin to be money. Bitcoin is money, and I agree with that. But I don't know, man. I think it's I think we have to look at the last 6 months and really ask ourselves, has Bitcoin changed, or have human beings changed? And I think that, back to Michael Saylor in closing, to make my point and land this plane, with Michael Saylor, is he the most influential guy on Bitcoin? Probably. Like, I've watched so many of his speeches, like he gives you motivation, but there is also proof out there that he did say, never sell your Bitcoin, digital credit this, never sell your Bitcoin. And then, because of his fiat games, he has to sell Bitcoin, right? And he's selling the bottom, but that's because he's playing fiat games. He has a company, he has earnings, he has all these things that he has going on, and he still has a lot. He still that's an extraordinary amount of Bitcoin. So my thing at the end of the day is just do your research. You know what I'm saying? Do your own research. Don't fall in love with a crowd or a person. And I think that that's the same thing I do in politics. Like, we spoke about, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, I watch and I listen to everybody, and that's how I'm able to form my own opinion. At the end of the day, if you go to Bitcoin University, you might never be the same, man. And I think a lot of people are not going to be the same after what just happened.
For sure.
Stack sats.
All good points, man.
Bro, stacking all the sats. Bro, he has 840,000. What is he doing with this? This is not the point of Bitcoin. I mean, this is king shit. This is like where the people are starving and there's a king all the way up top just holding all the food. I mean, this guy is unbelievable. This guy is messed up. Nah, I'm just kidding. But that is the rant that I want to go on when I see Michael Saylor. It's like, is that actually the point of Bitcoin? And this is what I mean by decision making / influence and actually proof of work. 840,000 just sitting in cold storage, or sitting because this guy is like, is this the point? There's 840,000 people that are never going to get these Bitcoins unless he sells them. But it's just like, hey, if Satoshi was alive, right? If these guys were alive, if Len Sassman was alive, right? Like, if all these guys were alive, would they look at Michael Saylor and they look at 840,000 Bitcoin just sitting somewhere, or BlackRock's, 700,000+? I don't even know how much they got, because people are buying it through ETFs. Is that the point of Bitcoin? So that's where influence now becomes it's action.
Yeah,
but Saylor didn't print any of these, Lou. That's the whole point, is that you don't get to decide who has Bitcoin and who doesn't. If you want Bitcoin, you contribute energy either by working and earning another form of currency and converting into Bitcoin, or you convert that energy into mining and earn Bitcoin that way. It's perfectly fair that he has 840,000 Bitcoin. That's the whole point.
Yeah. I don't know that. I don't think that's the point, though. Why? I don't think that's Satoshi's point, is what I'm saying.
Doesn't matter what Satoshi's point is. The point of Bitcoin is that nobody has any control over it. Nobody gets to decide who has what and who doesn't have what. That's what the point of it is. So Satoshi, I mean, I can't speak for Satoshi, but he invented this thing where it's a truly decentralized network that anybody on this planet, if they contribute energy, can earn this currency we call Bitcoin. That's
so how much Bitcoin does strategy need to hold for it not to be decentralized anymore? There's a number?
All of it.
Well, I mean, at some point, if they had the majority, people would be like, well, okay, what's the point of us wanting any? I don't know what that number would be, but it's also more hash rate is more important than total Bitcoin holdings. So if Saylor got in bed with all these different mining companies and decided that they were the only ones who were going to hit all the blocks going forward, that might be an issue. But then again, we as the node runners, as the users of the network, could just fork off and essentially do what Luke did today, create a new algorithm, and then we still have the network impact of that. Like, we shouldn't discount that either. The fact that there's this many people who want a decentralized network and currency, that will live on, whether it's under this protocol or a different one. But that's the whole point of this, is like, things move. As things happen, things move. And it's not going to be just this thing that we carve into stone and never change. We have to be adaptive with it, but we can't move too quickly either and make stupid decisions because 1,000 people on Twitter think that it's, spam shouldn't be on Bitcoin. Like, that's the whole point of it. I think
so you were anti-BIP
interpretation of it.
You were anti-BIP-110.
Was I? Yeah.
Yeah. So did you get what was the response from like people, like your crowd, or?
Yeah, it's pretty much been the last 3 or 4 weeks of every comment I look at, every live chat is just all like, you're a pedophile, you're a suit, you're against Bitcoin, you love spam, all this stuff. It's just fucking nonsense, man. And that's why I think Brandon and I both have just come to this point where it's like enough is enough. It's just stupid. It doesn't make any sense. The argument doesn't make sense.
Drove away so many people that thought similar to them.
Yeah, but the whole pedo thing, like, it just brings me to like the whole like argument. Yeah, it's just like a lefty thing. Like, these people become leftists immediately. Like, I think that's disgusting behavior. I have seen that in some Bitcoin spaces, the way that they were talking about the suit coiners, they call them the suit coiners and stuff like that. I was trying my best to really understand what was really happening. And just, it was hard to, because it would just like crash out after crash out. It's like everybody's crashing out, bro.
Yeah, that's cognitive dissonance, right? We talked right before you came out. We were talking about cognitive dissonance, and when you can't win an argument or there's not any more reasons left, people resort to mind reading and word salad and bro and dude. So what you're saying is collapsing thing to one variable or to like one absolute. Like, there's only one reason. Like, the only reason, here's a good one. The only reason Michael Saylor's doing the consortium is because he controls the devs. Like, it's the only reason in the world. There's only one. And that's why I was saying government run school earlier. Like, people have been taught in America to conform, comply, obey over and over and over for 100+ years. It's true or false in the Scantron. There's no nuance or gray area in their life at all. Like, just can't critically think, can't think outside the box. We just talked about the Trump thing earlier. Like, wow, my whole entire predictive analysis just blew up in my face. But yet I'm still going down that road. That's like going across the road, getting hit by a car, or watching someone else get hit by a car, and then going in the road and doing the same thing. It's just like, what are we doing here? That it's unbelievable. It's cognitive dissonance, because when what you believe to be true has been shown to be false, like Royce White, Roycia, right? She's in her glow up era, and I just talked about my show, and she found who she is. Like, I'm happy for her, because now, like, it helped her now with flying, because she was trapped inside, so she felt like she couldn't fly. Now she can fly. I mean, it's amazing. And so like, and so now you flip the whole paradigm on its head. And so now people that had this cognitive dissonance, or believing there were 715 genders or whatever it is, now they all of a sudden know what a gender is. So now you flipped it, and you make the other side now explain what's happening, and then you can't. It collapses the whole narrative on its head. And that's how you deal with people in cognitive dissonance, or that's how you deal with people who have been brainwashed or mind washed or whatever it might be. So, like, collapse to one variable. It's the only reason that Donald Trump did this is because he wants to build his own hotel in Iran on the Straits of Hormuz. That's the only reason. Michael Saylor's only doing this because of this thing. Oh, you can mind read now. Like, oh, you're everywhere all at once at all times. Like, I see. Okay. So like that's just, we're just living it at mass scale. And that's why I brought up the American system so much over the last 6 months. It's the British Crown understands the Tavistock Institute and the Royal Institute of Affairs, really the two genesis of that in the late 1800s, which is MI6, and who spurred on CIA and Mossad. And those are the children of MI6 and the different British secret services and the Tavistock Institute at the top. They've perfected brainwashing. And so they rolled it out to the militaries, and then they started doing it in the really probably the 50s, 60s, MK Ultra. And we also saw with LSD in the 60s hippies movement and all this stuff. That was them starting to roll it out to the masses. And so now we live in this world of legacy media. They can just inject narratives into our head without us even realizing what's happening. We just suck up all the slop for decades. And it's just like, and we do it. We don't even know where we're at. So anyway, I can't, boys.
It's all correlated though. It's literally all correlated.
I think it's all correlated. And you know what, Lou? You know what pisses me off the most? This is why I get so pissed off. It's because Bitcoiners, I hold Bitcoiners in higher esteem and higher regard. And when you can't go back and follow the money as a Bitcoiner, you're pissed off at Trump, or you're pissed off about this thing going on in Bitcoin or whatever it is, but you can't run the money back. We claim to know about central banking and all this stuff. Well, it goes back to the East India Company. It goes back to a little before 1600, and then after the Dutch East India Company, the British East India Company, and the Bank of England, and the central banking that was started then. But clearly no one's done their homework. I just assumed stupidly, naively, that many Bitcoiners had done all this homework and kind of had gone back, 300, 400, 500 years and really were following the money. But really what it's shown me is that no, people have really only gone back to like 2008, maybe 1971, and possibly 1913. But if you don't keep going back, if you don't see the American system in the 1800s, all the presidents that have been shot and killed, or shot and or killed, that are trying to run a system against the British imperial system, against NATO, against the UN, against the globalist net zero Malthusian crowd, then you just can't see any of it. You're blind. It's kind of the Tucker Candace thing going on right now.
I mean,
I agree with what they say, many things, but then they're just completely lost in the other 50% because they don't understand the money flows and what's really happening at a grand scale. So anyway.
To your point real quick, I will say that a lot of that stuff, like when it comes to Tucker Candace and when it comes to just even in the United States as a whole, like politically, the obsession with Israel, right? Yeah. Like I'm not even a Zionist. I'm a Christian. So I think being a Zionist is actually, we're going back to the R word, ladies and gentlemen. Being a Zionist, to me, it's a little retarded if you're a Christian who believes that Jesus Christ is not only a Messiah, but he's God. So, but the obsession with Israel to me is the IQ test, right? Because how deep can you actually go? How far can you go in history to understand that not everything is Netanyahu, bro? Netanyahu does not control everything, bro. Who controls the money? Who not only who controls the money, but like, what is the history of money? What is the history of money in the United States of America? Who are the most influential money-wise individuals on the planet today? And I think that people just want to blame everything on the Jews. And to me, that is the IQ test. Now, shit, there's things you can blame the Jews about. There's things you can blame any race about if you really want to. But it's just more like, when you have an in-depth conversation and somebody gets stuck there, oh, you're stuck here, but do you know what came before that? Like what came here, what came here, what came here? Like, I don't even think people understand what happened. Like I mentioned the Nixon shock to somebody, and I think this is the simple, they don't even know what the Nixon shock is. They have no idea why we went off the gold standard in the first place. They have no idea about infinite money printing. They have no idea where inflation even comes from, right? And I think that there's a lot of individuals in politics that they don't even know that. They're just stuck on the now. They're stuck on the effect, not the cause. And I think that because I'm starting to think that the cause is just not popular. Like the most popular thing is clinging on to something, clinging on to the Jews, clinging on to Israel, clinging on to this, clinging on to that. And, and then finding a way to like clickbait that instead of actually trying to break down for individuals, where did this come from? What is actually happening? And so back to Bitcoin's point, I think that it's happening to Bitcoin now. It's that same system of X, like I call it the new X system, right? Like where people are just like now, and like there's no context to anything anymore. Like there's no, like everybody is so stuck on one thing when in reality, like my politics and your politics is probably very all over the place because not everything deserves it. Like everything is not easy to explain. Like I might be liberal about some things, I might be conservative about others, but you don't want to hear that because you're stuck on the first fucking point. You're stuck on the fact that I agree with Trump on this one thing, and now all of a sudden I'm a pedo, and oh my God, you love Trump, because people have made up their mind. Oh, you think Israel's right on this one thing? Oh, you're a Zionist, what I'm saying? Like it just becomes this this retarded system of there's just nobody thinks that there's more to the story anymore. Like nobody thinks that, wait, hold on, man. What else does he believe though? No, he just believes this one thing.
Dude, I've heard two things can be true before. I've heard that.
Bro, three things could be true at once.
Exactly. 100 things can be true at once.
That's the whole problem. Nobody thinks, period.
At all. Exactly.
They outsource their thinking.
George, you know what? And really, really quick, I think that's what's frustrating. I'm not saying I have the answer because none of us know the answers. The problem is what the last 6, 9, 12 months have showed to me is that I was thinking that was correct. Like, oh, the money is going to change. It's good. Realizing, oh my gosh, I, as someone who studied history for my entire life, saw a lot of it in silos or in a vacuum almost and didn't put a lot of the things together. And if I didn't see some of the things that were right in front of me that I had been studying for this long, then what the hell else am I missing? And then you look around and see everyone else and you're like, oh my gosh. And so that's where you kind of start not losing it, but you're kind of like, wow, we've got a long way to go. Like we've got a ways to go here, boys and girls, whether it's in Bitcoin, the political side, the top down political American, economic political system, or the bottom up, we're changing the bedrock money, the foundation of society that locks that in. We got a long way to go. And the great news is we're early. That's the wonderful news is we are early to this, boys and girls. So buckle up.
Very early. And I got this this chart up here, this Bitcoin issuance chart, just to get back to the basics, guys. This is it right here. This is the system that they cannot break. Nobody can control it. Back to George's point. They're going to say this and say that, but at the end of the day, this is the greatest monetary system that the world has ever seen. And that's what we need to stick. That's what we need to stick to. And we need to stick together when we do this. Yeah, we're going to have some little bit of disagreements, but at the end of the day, this is what we need to protect right here and keep fighting for it. You boys want to wrap up, or you guys still? Oh, this is what I want to talk about. We were talking about Michael Saylor, and I had this up. I wanted to talk about.
We forgot Jerry. We forgot Rand Paul told us all the gold to Fort Knox too. By the way, guys, we're good to go. We are good. We are good.
Wait,
probably
who
a
was
reason
it? Was it Ron or was it Rand who
It was
said it?
Rand. But like, how can you be
Rand
Ron Paul's
said
son?
it?
Yes.
Rand?
How can you be Ron Paul's son and then play, roll a stunt like that?
Ron Paul, the great libertarian Ron Paul,
Yes.
his
This is why
son
libertarians
Rand Paul
Yes.
said that all the
This is
gold
why
in Fort
libertarians
Knox.
aren't- This is
Oh,
why
hell
libertarians
nah,
aren't taken
bro.
seriously. You can't make this stuff up.
So Saylor, speaking of how many Bitcoin he had, he sold 1,690 Bitcoin and the price didn't move. And he did it while all this stuff was going on very, very quietly. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, he's irrelevant. But he will only be relevant for a time period if he sold all of it, which he can't. So let's just say he does sell 50,000. I mean, I think it'll make a big difference. I think that'll be like, whoa, that's alarming. But I think that number one, why is he selling it? And it's not just him, it's strategy, right? It's his investors. Like it's a whole, Michael Saylor is playing the biggest fiat game there is. Like, I heard Saifuddin Amos break this down, like Jeff Booth, like when you hear them talk about Michael Saylor, this is what, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is it. Like this guy this is his way of, buying more Bitcoin, making a business around Bitcoin. And I think that he needs to sell in order to cover dividends for Stretch. And this is just something he needs to do. But I think that the cat is out the bag. I think it's great for Bitcoin that I think it's great for him too, that he was able to sell and like the world not end. I thought that was a big thing. Like probably 3 years ago, if you said, yo, Michael Saylor is going to sell a lot of Bitcoin, it's probably a big thing, probably a big deal. But yeah, I just think that to close here, the biggest point is for let's go back to the X world. Yeah, the clips are tough. They're tough to listen to. Like, hey, don't ever sell your Bitcoin, or the way he would talk about Bitcoin. Like you sell a rib or sell everything. Just don't sell the Bitcoin. So it does look pretty crazy when the guy that says that, starts to sell because he needs to, or because it's a good business move too. But I think it's good. I think it's good overall. Like it doesn't matter to the market. It doesn't matter to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's not going to change. The protocols nothing changes. It's just more like this one big narrative, and this one person that converted a lot of people over to Bitcoin has he's done the cold card. Like he just cold carded people. Like cold card was supposed to be this one thing, and Saylor was supposed to be this one guy that did this one thing, and it is what it is.
Yeah, and the price didn't move, and a lot of people, somebody asked earlier and we talked about it last week, but about cold card, did they do it on purpose to make all the Bitcoin move to the exchanges? What happened with the BIP-110, Saylor selling Bitcoin, all these AIs attacking these vectors of Bitcoin, and the price is still the same.
It's a great week, man. What a great time to be alive, bro. This is stuff that we are going to be talking about, in the next, like when the bull market really, really takes off, and like we're in 2028, we're just going to be looking back like, man, boy, did we make it out of that. And I'm sure people in 2021 and 22, right, where FTX and Celsius and all these collapses were happening, I'm sure a lot of people were probably in awe of themselves watching Bitcoin's USD price go all the way to 126, right? And being a $2.5 trillion asset after everything happened. You know what I'm saying? After everything happened. So I think that a lot of people, like the bulls, some of them, and I think this is where you see the end of the bear market, right? Is when every bull gets slayed, in the sense of they're probably not going to quit, but they're probably finally going to be, they're going to go from perma bull to like, damn, could this thing actually go back above 100K? Like, are we cooked? Like, are we done? Once those people, once the biggest perma bull, you know, starts to have that, bro, we are at the end, bro. When that person stops buying, yeah, just know we are very bullish. So I think this is a very bullish time, bro. The more bad news, the better. It seems Bitcoin is always going to thrive.
Yep.
Yeah.
Literally, that's just, if you study its 4-year cycle, if you study history, if you study all the bad things that come out, the bad things that happen, it's the most bullish sign. I hate that. It sounds stupid when I say it, but it's just throughout historical factors, Bitcoin gets better the more bad news it gets, or the more bad news around its ecosystem. You know what I mean? Like, it just, the more things break, the better it is. For some reason, it just works that way.
And exactly, Lou. Well said. And if you look back, like I'm pulling up all these indicators, and nothing's fucking changing, man. You know, we looked at the mempool, we looked at the time chain calendar, we looked at the blocks, we looked at this right here, Bitcoins per person. All this shit going on, and nothing changed. You know, this is, to me, this is just this is amazing to me. You know what I mean? And again, I was down a little bit too about sentiment and us not getting along and all this other shit and moving my Bitcoin, and it sucked.
Bro, the perma bulls were getting crushed, bro. I'm telling you, bro. The most bullish people you know were at some point, what is gonna make them doubt? Cold card made them doubt like never before. Like, I've never seen that many perma bulls. And it's not because anything in Bitcoin changed, but because the threats are real. If there's a bug, these LLMs will fight. Like, people, hackers, like, everything is getting much better. And then you have quantum coming, right? And you have all these things like, hey, it's going to get harder to be a Bitcoiner. And that is the point. That it's the point. How much conviction do you actually have? How much faith do you actually have when everything else gets tested, right? It goes back to, you know, just who you are as a person. And, you know, I think that it builds character. I mean, can you stick with this? Can you actually watch a draw? Can you watch your money go, your USD draw down? Like, can you actually handle it? And I think a lot of people can't. I'm gonna be honest. I think a lot of people just cannot. They're emotionally unstable. I've seen so many comments, so many people, and they just want out of the market. You know, first drawdown after they buy. Oh, I gotta get out of here. Well, man, this is crazy. Like, you know, like it just becomes people become wrecks. And so, yeah, I think people as a whole are gonna people. But Bitcoin is still Bitcoin, no matter how many people, man. People are just gonna keep people in, man. And you know, as long as Bitcoin doesn't change, back to George's point, nobody controls it. Obviously, there's going to be people who are influential, people who can dump the market USD wise if they do manipulate the market to their best of their ability, but nothing changes with Bitcoin.
Exactly.
Yep.
I'm pulling up all these numbers. And again, if a historian just looked at the numbers and not the narrative and Twitter and all this other bullshit, it looked at that, nothing fucking changed, man. Like, if you'd have told me all this stuff would have happened, Michael Saylor sold a bunch of Bitcoin, not just because the amount, because again, a lot to him is not.
No doubt.
You know, just think about it, guys. BIP-110 forking off, right? Talking about some of the biggest names in Bitcoin history that were with BIP-110. Those guys went over there. Then you got Michael Saylor selling. You got this. You got Cold Card, arguably the best hardware wallet, losing 100-something million in Bitcoin, this, that, all this stuff, and the price didn't move. Nothing changed. I'm bullish on that, man.
Yeah, it's a bullish
That's
time.
crazy. Honestly, like, if you would have went back to July the 11th of 2026, 30 days ago, and you would have said, hey, Sailor's going to sell a bunch of Bitcoin, Cold Card's going to get hacked, we're going to have a BIP-110 soft fork and then a hard fork with a bunch of crash outs, but the price isn't going to move. Wow, how would you have reacted to that news?
Yep.
But we as humans, we just kind of go day by day, and we have a very short memory, and we look around, we listen to what people are saying. We don't really take time to think or reflect on things. And you know, I've thought about this a lot, and Lou, you mentioned a good point there, is that like this was never going to be easy. You know, we're taking out a system that's been around and enslaved human beings for hundreds or thousands of years. That's who we're up against right now. This was never going to be a straight line. You decide that you're going to be a Bitcoiner one day, and all of a sudden your fucking life's going to be better forever. It's not a straight line. Is it going to be upwards over time? Yeah, I believe so. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. But like, it's the same as fiat land. Everybody wants a promotion. Everybody wants to be paid more. Well, you know what comes with that promotion and to be paid more is more responsibility. That's a part that most people don't want. Right? I was an accountant before, so I would look at my partners in my firm and say, fuck, those guys are making $500,000 a year. I can't wait to get there. But I didn't realize how much responsibility, how much stress, how much everything else that comes with that $500,000 paycheck. And so it's like people just want things the easy way without putting in the fucking work. And Bitcoin is all about proof of work from the day you arrive here till the day you die, or if you weasel out and fucking fork off. But it's like, you have to understand that. Nobody wants to hear those words, but that's the truth. And so to me, you know, it really feels like, you know, most people might relate or should relate to this, where you kind of like with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your spouse, you know, there's these things that kind of build up and build up and build up. And then all of a sudden you're standing in the kitchen or you're standing in part of their house and you just fucking let loose on each other. You start swearing and yelling. And then all of a sudden, an hour later, it's like, okay, well, I feel better now. But it's just like, that's what this was for me for this last month. It's just like build up, build up, build up. And I feel like between this stream and the stream this morning, I kind of finally let some of this out, you know, as somebody who practices and preaches and all this stoicism shit. But it's like, it takes a toll on you, man. And when people aren't speaking fucking the same language as you, and it's just everywhere you look is just lies and bullshit, it takes a toll on you. So to me, I kind of feel a little bit relieved. I feel like I got some off my chest here. And I know that we're going to be better because of this. I know that without a doubt. And it is amazing to me that we've gone through all this shit in the last month. And the fiat price, and that's what I was going to say too, kind of going off of Lou's, is like, people are going to people. What is Bitcoin? Bitcoin measures people. Bitcoin doesn't go up and down. That's just the USD equivalent of it. Bitcoin is a direct measurement of human beings and our productivity and what we have. And humans are very volatile. People are going to people. So that's what goes up and down here with Bitcoin. It's measuring that.
That's true. Wow,
So
that's
to me,
literally
like, this is
perfect.
as expected, but nobody wants to hear it. So it's good that we kind of get to go through this together. And I know there's some people that don't agree with me in the chat. That's okay, you know. But I do believe that Bitcoin is going to create a better world. It allows us to have fairness, not equality, and nobody can print it. And I'm bullish on that.
Yeah. And going back to earlier of what, you know, people are saying about how you're going to deal with spam. I don't have some silver bullet when that becomes a true problem. I mean, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was like one set for VByte right now, like, or what is it? 1, 2? I mean, like, there's when the network has a problem, people will come in to solve those problems. Enough people will come in that have consensus. Enough people to have it. It was what, 90-95% in the block size wars. So that will happen again. Jeff Booth is correct in saying that there probably will be another soft fork or a hard fork at some point. Maybe that's the right one. Maybe that's the one that 90-95% of us are on, and the 5% fork themselves off. That's the most likely outcome of what will happen going forward. But remember, it's a spectrum. It's a gauge. It's what the market deems the biggest problems are at a given time. So in this instant, the market deemed it a very low problem. All the actors, the wallets, the exchanges, miners, pleb node runners, whatever it is, most people thought it was not that big of a problem. The juice wasn't worth the squeeze. The changes were not worth what was, because again, like we said earlier, it's not a democracy. You can't just be a belligerent actor, like, hey, I'm Putin. I bought 1 million nodes and I'm running over the chain. Sorry, I own it now. It's not mob rule. And so you have to build the political will. You've got to build consensus. You have to draw up a BIP, be the right person at the right time, drawing up the BIP the right way in order to gain consensus. And that's where eventually the iron, will be hot enough and it'll strike at that time. It'll be at that time when society is ready for that. But market wasn't ready for it. So it's really a simple process at the end of the day. So again, in the Saylor thing, again, we talked about the centralized versus concentrated. There's a difference there. Saylor doesn't own the network. He's never going to own the network. That's not how it works. Nodes do have power. This doesn't mean miners are in control. There wasn't consensus. It's like it's all these things just coming back. And like George said, it's just been building up. You're trying to be nice. You're trying to be empathetic. You're trying to see both sides, and largely did, many of us, and that's what's tough. So each party has to do what they're gonna do. I know Matteo Pellegrini from Club Orange always say, like, well, it's bullshit that Saylor should be able to buy his yacht with or buy his Bitcoin with raise cash and buy Bitcoin, and his yacht, he should be able to have to pay straight Bitcoin for it and stuff like that. I agree with Matteo. Matteo was for BIP-110. I agree with him. In a perfect world, that is 100% how I believe. At the same time, I'm also trying to be pragmatic and realize that, okay, again, we can't go to the North Pole and do these things. I can't just stop and freeze all humanity like we're in the Matrix with Neo and Morpheus, and then walk over and change things that I want. And humans are all going to human, like the boys just said. And it's so important. That's why it has to be top down and bottom up. It's got to be a sly roundabout way. It's not going to be easy. This is going to be a battle. It's not some utopian pipe dream that libertarians have had and all these different people have had, these machinations of like, oh, we're going to do this thing. It's going to substitute all of thinking and critical thinking in humanity and just completely just reorient all of society at the same time. No, it won't happen like that. It's going to happen with 8 billion people doing what they are incentivized to do. So the AI, the mining, the energy, all this stuff we've been talking about is the persuasion. It's coming over here. It's being decentralized in your mining, in your AI, the compute, the hardware, the manufacturing, the critical minerals, the rare earths, all the stuff that literally the administration has been doing and talking about, going back to the political part of it. But yet no one wants to see it. They're completely psyoped into it's Israel. They're still a year behind the curve right now. And that's this cognitive dissonance we have to remove ourselves from. No president has done this in decades, probably since pre-71. Nixon promised, you're like, oh, we're going to get 1,000 nuclear reactors. And you have like, what, one? Is it one or two? Lou might know. Like since 1971, the Jetsons age was stolen from us because of the broken money and because good people got out of the system. We're like, it's broken. Screw it. Well, that's changing. And people are having a very hard time with that. They've never seen this stuff before. War, effing terrible, is politics from a different way. When you have Congress, full control of Congress, and they won't do anything, your Congress literally won't do anything. What are you going to do? You're going to go do other things. You're going to say, okay, well, I'll find a different way. That's the world we are in. Is it the perfect world? Is it following Constitution verbatim? Of course not. I'm a constitutionalist, but I'm also pragmatic and understand that this is the way the world is. We have brought ourselves to this point, and now we're going to have to figure our way out of it. But being utopian and being something, like, oh, it should be this way. I love how life should be. Believe me, I'm probably the biggest fan of how life should be. But that's not how life works. We have to operate in how life is at this moment, and that's the difference. So that's my parting shot of the day.
That's a good place to end it.
Me and Rihanna should be together. You know what I mean? Like I should be a billionaire, trillionaire. I should.
Stack a few more coins in a few years. Who knows? Power.
I'm about to go play for the WNBA. I'm about to try out. Don't go on these joints.
Get on the team with Enos and Roycia. So yeah, you should.
Shout out. I had a great conversations with Royce before he was running in Minnesota. Cool guy, very, very, very political, but a great big three player, bro. He could still move. He's only like 33 years old too. He kind of went off out of the NBA at a very young age. So I think he would kill, not literally kill, but he would cook every WNBA player. Like I'm talking about dunking on their head. That would
he would literally kill them.
I don't want him to kill anybody, but right. I mean, he's one dunk away from maybe somebody going to the hospital. But yeah, so I would just say this, right? Life is good, God is good all the time. But I think a lot of people they're just not seeing it. They're not seeing the why anymore. It feels like, I don't know. I just like I have this problem with the right as well. Speaking of communism, socialism, all this stuff, like people, how did we get there? You know what I'm saying? And how did we get here? And I just don't hear people saying that enough. They just want to shit on everybody because they think a certain way. But when you look at statistics of like, I don't know what the percentage was, but it was like a people who are 30 plus or younger living with their parents. I'm not sure it wasn't as 40%. It was a huge percentage of people. So when you see that, you see this the stock market, you see the S&P 500 hitting all-time highs, and then there's also all-time high of 30 under 30 and under living with their parents still. Bro, that's how society collapses. Like this is it. This is the moment in time where if you look at the Roman Empire, you look at the causes and effects of what was it that collapsed this beautiful fucking utopia for these Romans. It wasn't utopia, obviously, but it was like, yo, Romans were cooking everybody. Like, but it just looks like, yo, what would collapse the United States of America? And yeah, sure, you could say it's the plague of like China, you know, or or just there was this guy who gave a warning about how to attack the United States. The United States is never going to be invaded by a military, but it just be invaded over the seeds that is plants, over time, the seeds that get planted when it comes to communism, socialism, or another religion, or whatever it is. And you're seeing the chickens come home to roost when it comes to that. And then what makes it harder to argue would be, hey, bro, people can't afford shit, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that, but stock market is at an all-time high, though. Hey, S&P 500 just hit 7,900. I don't know, where is that? It's about to hit 8,000. I don't know. Like, but it just like, it just shows you, bro, that's a crazy, what's that, like 40, what's that, like $69 trillion just, in the best 500 companies. But it just shows you the big disconnect from the future to now. And like the people that are my age, 29, 30, 31 years old. Yes, Yuri Bezmenov. Yes, if I'm not mistaken, he was Russian, and he was warning during an interview. He was warning on how to take over the United States of America, and it would be through, but it will also be through the faults of the system, through the faults of money concentration, and it just, I think that you want to defend Christianity, you want to defend conservatism, but what are conservatives in politics defending? Because they ain't defending the 30-year-old. That's Mamdani, right? Like Mamdani's doing that. He has a wicked way of being a taker versus actually being a maker. But to other people that didn't get to reap the benefits of the 7,700 S&P 500, and they don't get to benefit their parents passing down a savings account or whatever, like it looks great to them. You know what I'm saying? So that's why my message is, hey, get to as much Bitcoin as you can. If you're under age 30 and you live with your parents, by the time the world catches up, your life may have already changed. Study Bitcoin, study Bitcoin, study Bitcoin. It's like, oh, but it was at 5K in 2020. It doesn't matter, man. Just work hard, bring some value to the world, buy Bitcoin, man. That's my advice to these young kids and these young cats, not communism. Don't participate in that. Don't participate in the taking of things. Participate in the making of things. But unfortunately, like I said to my earlier point, is the makers are, they're promoting taking, and I think that's dangerous. We are in the danger, but the reason they're promoting this is because of the big disconnect. And I don't want communism. I don't want socialism. But if you don't understand how we got here, if you're not trying to do anything to fix it, that's my biggest message to the Trump administration. It's like, are you here like for the boomers only? Like, is this a boomer administration? Like, bro, these kids, they don't even want to have kids because they're scared to have kids. And then they start getting eaten up, and they start becoming pro-abortion. Hey, we should abort the baby in the 9th month. Something just happened. There was literally a ruling. A Democrat governor, Maura Haley, just signed a bill allowing abortions to day of birth in the state of Massachusetts. How did we get there? How do we get to a point where having kids is a bad thing? Because you don't have no money. The rich are getting richer. We're getting poorer. Why the fuck do we want to have kids? You know what I'm saying? Why do we want to have kids? So it's just like, that's what they're thinking. And I still think that they're very wrong by that, by the way. But it's just like, it just goes to show, but that's the news right there. So I'm not making this up. This is a real thing that was signed, if I'm not mistaken, throughout this weekend. But how did we get to these kids being manipulated enough to think that evil is good and that good is evil? It's because of a broken money system that tells them to go F themselves. That's how we got here. So people in my age range, right? I'm like the last year of Gen Z before the next generation. If I'm not mistaken, I was born in 1997. These people my age, a lot of them, most of my friends don't have no kids. They're not looking forward to getting better. They're not looking forward to a better world because they don't believe that one can exist. And here comes AI. Like, here comes all these innovations and the world is getting better, but we're not getting better. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, Texas uses. So, yeah, man, I just think that people need to understand, how did we get here? How do we solve these problems? And I don't think that anybody's looking forward to it, except for those leftist, communist types that would love to take. Their job is to come and take. Mamdani's out here messing with Amazon now in New York City. I mean, you can look that up too, Jerry. What is he doing with Amazon, the deliveries, and how he's trying to control the whole system of deliveries? Like, the reason why people are okay with this is because the wealth gap is like this now. It's not like this, it's like this. And so people are becoming more okay with, fuck it, let's just take everything we can. We got nothing. So go ahead. I'm done rambling. But it just kills me that people don't understand why these things are happening.
That's the race right there. It's, can you reshore your manufacturing? Can you reshore? This is the thing. Trump started it. The Monroe Doctrine, which go back into your history from 200 years ago, and now it's the Monroe Doctrine. And every president that's got killed or shot that's tried to re-implement this against the British crown, the Malthusian net zero imperial crown. This is this.
Was it 1821? Was it 1821?
Yeah, it's the trafficking system, trafficking drugs, children, slaves, whatever it is, trafficking people, the East India Company for hundreds of years. And now you have the American system going against that. And can we reshore and uproot and rip all this apart fast enough before the communists come in and redistribute and take it all apart?
That's where capitalism failed, right? We had crony capitalism, where the exporting of manufacturing, and like, it just became the worst type of capitalism. We gave China everything. You make it, we bring it in, and we tax our people, and our people no longer are becoming the innovators. They're not becoming the makers anymore, except for now AI, and we still got big time things happening in the United States. But when it comes to these manufacturing jobs and actually making things and not exporting these types of jobs, you know, that's where capitalism to me went wrong. So again, you can be pro-capitalism, but understand the fault of it and understand that, hey, this is what's being pitched, right? Capitalism to these young people doesn't look sexy because it's not sexy to them. There's nothing sexy about it right now. How do we make it sexy? How do we make it more to that point? So I do think that you're right. Like, you know, hey, Trump is trying, but like this Trump project of bringing manufacturing, taxing auto industries if they don't make their cars in the United States of America, like that, these are great things that he's doing, forcing the issue. But how long will that take? And by the time that comes about, like Mamdani's already, you know, found a way to be president as a Ugandan. I don't know. You can't.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Trump's starting it, but it's on all of us to finish it. And that's the thing that people are, like you said it earlier, Lou, or Jerry did. Someone said it, that people need to separate Trump from all this, because the playbook is now completely out in the open. The toothpaste is out of the tube, and it's now on the younger generation, the rest of us, to take it and run with it and to realize that there's a system. Because to your point, Lou, capitalism and communism is kind of a fake prison of two ideas, and just thinking it just oscillates between these two systems and that's it. And again, ironically, that's a British crown prerogative of getting people just trapped in this fake prison of just like free trade. It's just this, but they have their toe on all of it, right? The Lloyd's of London, the Straits of Hormuz, LIBOR, Brent crude, they price everything. And so if you don't understand the system that you're living in and you think it just wildly oscillates, like if you have broken currency, fiat currencies undergirding the political system of capitalism, then of course it turns into cronyism. And then, we're going to oscillate and just, go right back to communism, socialism. And when that doesn't work and we kill everyone, then we're going to go, we should try capitalism again. And you just keep oscillating between these two broken systems. And that's because the money is completely broken. The foundation is built on sand and fiat. But also at the same time, there is a third option. There is another system that no one's been told about. And we have not learned in government-run schools for 100 plus years and was taken away from us. The first 125 years of America, we ran our own system. The next 125 years, basically the Federal Reserve we've been running the British imperial system in NATO. We're the hammer, where our military is used as a mercenary group, an outfit to go beat everyone over the head. And the British Crown figured out a way to brainwash everyone. And they figured out a way that was much more devious, much more insidious than, hey, I'm Genghis Khan, free market, baby. Like, I'm the biggest, baddest guy. I'm going to come in and beat you over the head. Well, that's hard. Like, that's tough. It takes a lot of energy. It's very visible, and people don't like that because they can see it. It's physical. But when they can take the currency and manipulate that, but then on top of that, have this system brainwashing people and getting you to do the dirty work. We mentioned it earlier too with the Sykes-Picot in 1948 and the Balfour Declaration. There's a third one where they're all against each other and then throwing the Jewish people back into Israel, creating all this division. This is why the Iran war is going on right now. And this is, again, like when you don't understand all the history, you're completely blind to what's actually happening and uprooting the system. So you're right, Lou. Like the capitalist system as it stands on fiat is completely broken. So are a lot of people, and this is where Tea Party and Occupy Wall Street, they're two sides of the same coin. 95% of people have it right. They can diagnose the problem. They understand there's an issue, but the problem is the solution. They don't understand there's another option. There's another system out there, and there's other money out there. So there's two solutions on top of each other. This political economic system on top of Bitcoin, on top of sound money that they didn't have 200 years ago, that couldn't go for it in the future because gold and silver are always going to centralize because they're physical. But now we have the answer, the thing that didn't lock it into place 200 years ago. And now we have it. But it's up to all of us to understand that and then talk about that going forward because very few people know about it.
Yeah, I agree. I think when you go back to the Monroe Doctrine, if I'm not mistaken, I think the year was 1821. And James Monroe basically said, hey, we need to imperialize the entire West. We need to be the ones that basically take over. Oh, shit. We need to be the ones to take over. So I do think that when Trump came in, I thought that this was one of the best things, called it the Monroe Doctrine, right? Where he wants to imperialize the entire West, take over, and basically control the entire West. And what we see the fault of that system, the old system being NATO, right? Being NATO, being the European Union, how much of the United States of America is being used. And I think that you're right. Because we run a deficit, because we do have the world's reserve currency, we have become a system of slaves to war, to the military industrial complex. We've become these things because we need to be these things in order to keep, like, something that people don't understand, in my opinion. This is just my opinion, but I really think this is a fact. The reason why we must always be at war is because we need to know what type of weapons we have, how they work, and are they good enough? I don't know if people realize, but when we invaded Venezuela, when we took Maduro, there were weapons that were being used that nobody even knew about. And this is the bad part of just being the world's reserve currency and defending this empire, quote unquote, is that we are out here just inventing shit out of our ass, every weapon possible. We're trying to figure out how we can just manipulate the rest of the world. So it just I think that's what Bitcoin fixes. Now, can it? Will it? Look, we all want things. We all, like to Brandon's point, we want these things. These things should be this way in our perfect world, but unfortunately, humans are going to human. People are going to people, and corruption will always thrive, especially in a system that is. Yes, they're called frequency weapons. Those are the weapons that they were using. Some of the military, some of the Venezuelan military personnel were talking about things that they saw in the sky, like things that they were hearing that they couldn't hear, that they were blind for like 2 minutes and they couldn't hear nothing while they were taking Maduro. And it just goes to show you that shit is getting crazy, man. Like our weapons, and that's why we have to also win the AI race. Like a lot of people don't want to hear that, but we have to win the AI race. We have to know what weapons and what is going to come out of it. We have to win, because if we don't, It's not going to be good news for us because the world is becoming more increasingly violent. Drones are getting better. War is getting progressively more violent and better, not in the sense of better for us or humans, just better in the sense of like you don't even need humans on the floor. I mean, on the ground anymore. You just, somebody said Maduro was abducted by aliens. It's like I feel like everything I just said is just a waste of breath after reading that, bro. I just feel like I'm wasting my breath right now, bro. Oh man. Anyway, we're getting better.
Zero listening.
We gotta go. I think we've been here for a long time. Anyway, can we shift to one more topic? It's gonna be quick.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Lou.
The Trump media group, Bitcoin, right? I think they went from a certain amount to 14,000. Do you guys think, because we know Trump is playing these money games like nobody else in this world at this point, do you think that the reason why he's increased his position is because of the Bitcoin reserve? And do you think, I think it happens before he leaves office, just like he's going to pardon himself before he leaves office? So what do you guys think?
I mean, it's the best advice is always just to do what wealthy people do, literally. So, I mean, I don't know the whole story here. It's interesting to me. If you actually go back and listen to Trump's speech at Bitcoin 2024 in Nashville, where he actually introduced Bitcoin as the strategic reserve or something like that, he took a lot of shit from people, especially Bitcoiners, of not knowing what he's talking about. But you listen to him speak about energy. He's been talking about energy for the last couple of years and how important it is and how much energy we need for things like this. And what was Space Force? Everybody laughed at Trump when he created Space Force. What do? Do people think that they just fly around in fucking saucers and fight each other? No, there's a reason why he created this department called Space Force. And if you look at the hash rate of Bitcoin since they created it, it has gone fucking exponentially higher. Like, this isn't rocket science to figure out what's going on here. People with Trump derangement syndrome can't see past that, but he knows what's coming. You can call him whatever he wants to, but he's not a dumb guy. He's probably the best marketer in history. He's one of the funniest fucking people in history. He's surrounded by Bitcoiners. He knows what he's doing. I don't care if you don't like him or not. You just look at what he's doing here, follow that, you're going to win. And he's not doing anything I don't think is illegal here. He's buying Bitcoin with his corporation. He's not printing Bitcoin. So it's like, to me, it could not be more obvious what's playing out here. There's going to be many people left behind because they can't get out of their own head and they can't accept reality. And that's just their own problem. I don't give a shit. I'm going to keep stacking sats. I'm going to take self-custody of it. And when my government tries to fuck with me, they can't get that. So to me, it's a no-brainer what's playing out here. Anybody with a set of eyes and a functioning brain can see what's coming. Trump knows that. And so it's 0% surprise to me that Trump media is stacking Bitcoin. Look at American Bitcoin, Eric's company. They're like the third highest. Like, these are signs that if people, again,
these are signs. Oh, let's go. Yo, I'm excited, bro. Hey, stack the sats. Stack the sats. Stop being bitches and stack sats. Stop complaining all day and stack sats, man. Dude, you guys have no idea what's coming.
People want to be victims,
bro. They have no idea, bro. Like, this is man. Look, this is the way I put it. Look, this is what I foresee. And maybe I'm gonna sound ridiculous, but I said this. This is how me and Robin met. Like, our first interview together, me and Robin. I told Robin, I said, the moment that Trump announces that Bitcoin strategic reserve and they're gonna buy 1 million Bitcoin, their goal is to buy 1 million Bitcoin in the next, I don't know, let's say 5-10 years, bro. The moment that gets announced, and you know that the United States government, I don't know, I guess the Federal Reserve or whoever the fuck is gonna buy this shit, or taxpayers are gonna buy. It's just, once that gets announced in the way that it would be done, obviously, I think that it's just going to change everything. And if there's anybody that can do it, it'll be President Trump. Anybody that could do it, it would be President Trump. This is my opinion.
Or maybe he wants people to stack Bitcoin on their own and not let the government hold all the coins. Like, wouldn't that make sense? If you wanted your people to succeed and win, you'd say, hey, we're pretty interested in this Bitcoin thing. Hey, my son's company has 8,300 Bitcoin. Hey, my media company has 14,000 Bitcoin. Hey, this guy that worked for Space Force wrote a book called Soft War that's literally playing out right in front of your eyes. Do you want to succeed here before your government starts buying it? Yes or no? Like, it's not fucking hard.
And to your point, Jor, the problem is you can't tell a horse to drink. You can lead it to water. So what is Trump doing, right? There were signs. We're joking about it, but there were signs. Like, you can't say, like, if Trump got up there and said, hey guys, I'm going after the crown. Hey guys, go buy Bitcoin. Hey guys, go do this. No one would do it. Like, that's the hilarity in all of it. But he's showing you the roadmap. They're putting out their cybersecurity strategy. They're putting out the science report. They're putting out, we bought Bitcoin. Like, they're doing all the things. We're talking about nuclear and thorium and doing all this stuff.
Bro, he literally gives hints.
It's wild.
He gives hints on what to buy.
You can't make it up.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, I think he gave like a SanDisk. He gave like some type of hint on SanDisk, and we know how SanDisk is done. I mean, that joint has made people billionaires and millionaires, but it's just more like, hey, if there's anybody more savvy when it comes to pumping bags, it's that guy. But in all reality, back to Bitcoin, I would say that, hey, look, follow the money, as George said. Follow that. This is what these guys are doing. These guys know what's up. Like, there's a thing that Elon is doing, right? He's beating up on Tesla. Like, he would love for Tesla to get beat up because he can't. I don't think he has the full vote when it comes to the company, but he would love for it to get beat up so SpaceX could go then and buy it because he has the full vote there. So, like, these guys play these games where all you have to do is just a little bit of research on, like, okay, what is Elon Musk goal? Why would he want SpaceX to buy Tesla? Like, why does he want that? Why does he need that? And I just think that, hey, why do some of these guys would love for Bitcoin to keep on getting beat up and beat up and beat up? You don't think they want that? You don't think what Putin did this past week is actually important when it comes to cryptocurrency as a whole, and just Bitcoin, Ethereum, and if I'm not mistaken, Tether, maybe not Tether. It was one of those stable coins, but you didn't hear XRP. He doesn't care about that. My bad. That was just for anybody in the chat that cares about it. But I'm just saying, like,
That's the right time to say that.
But I mean, when you have Vladimir Putin making these announcements, I mean, bro, it just goes to show people are they're so prisoners of the moment. Yeah, they're prisoners of the moment, bro. I think in 5 years, right, and Bitcoin's at 250, 300,000 or something like that. I just think that people like, look, I'm betting everything I've ever earned. Like, if Bitcoin doesn't work, I am going to be homeless. I don't care. Like, I'm betting it all. I'm betting my mom's savings, my girl's savings, my savings, my dog's savings, all the savings. Like, everything is going in there, bro. And my whole life is this because I believe in this. I think that this is not only just the future. This is just going to be the way of life, in my opinion. And I think a lot of people are going to get, even before fully understanding Bitcoin, because we all never really truly understand. We got to keep studying. You got to keep doing. But if you understand history enough, if you understand human psychology enough, if you understand cyclical behavior enough, if you understand proof of work enough, bro, you ain't betting much if you betting all your life savings. I mean, just go to Social Blade, go to my YouTube channels, and do the math there, bro. Do the math there, bro. You'll see how much I earn per month, and you'll see how much money is going into Bitcoin, and then maybe you could call me a liar then.
Jimmy John's
back, baby. But anyways, well said. Well said, Lou.
John. 2 first names, bro.
Yes. Well said, Lou. Great job, everybody. Thank you guys so much for being here with us. We appreciate it. And look down the pipeline, guys, because we might be doing some more stuff on this channel or maybe other places and doing more stuff together. So we appreciate it. Any final words? And by the way, can you tell everybody where to find you guys? Jor, Brandon, Lou?
I should have 60 new subscribers, so you guys can find me at LV Nation. I better have 60 new subscribers. All 60 of you guys, make sure to go follow me or subscribe to the channel at LV Nation.
Brandon?
Yeah. Just Brandon _Gentile is my channel, and I'll try to keep it a little tighter going forward. Let it loose a little bit today. Felt good.
No,
Felt real
man.
good.
No, this needs
Need
to
to
be
let
you
loose a
all the
little more.
time, bro. What are you talking
I know, it
about,
should
man?
be.
This needs to be you all the time, bro. All of it, all the time.
Should be.
Come on.
Maybe will be.
That's me
Yeah,
all
will
the
be.
time, bro.
You know, it's
Great stuff.
I'll just end with this because I don't want to get super into the weeds or emotional about this. But when I saw that tweet that Jerry pulled up with the women there and celebrating the fact that they could literally kill a baby right before it's born, I couldn't even look at the screen, and it served as a reminder of why I'm here. And that's why it's been so hard for me as of late to be called to be associated with pedophiles. The reason why I'm in Bitcoin is to end that. And I believe that if you stop giving the ability to print money to other people, that's what funds all this stuff. That's what funds these demons is fiat money. Jesus knew that.
Yep.
Jesus knew that. That's the one time that he got upset. And so to me, you could either internalize that energy, you could direct it into fear, anxiety, and stress about the future, or you can use that as fuel to actually push this thing forward. And that's what I'm going to do. And so it'd be pretty easy for me to just kind of sit back and, you know, just say that this is too much for me. I can't handle this anymore, but fuck that. We're going full steam ahead here. We are going to change the world. I don't care what anybody says. Bitcoin is the tool to do that, but it's going to take individuals. And so thanks everybody for being here. You know, it's been tough, but it's going to be, you know, you have to go through the shit to get to the good stuff. So I think that this is all part of the plan here.
Yes, sir. Amen.
Absolutely. And guys, remember, even for the BIP-110ers out there, we're all on the same team. This is what we're fighting against. The system is broken, and there's only one way to fix it. And if I had to take a guess, I'm pretty sure you guys already know what that is. It's the best way to save. And for us, it's the only way to save. And that's still Bitcoin. We love each and every one of you, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you guys so much. All right.
Thanks, guys.
Peace and love, guys.